Introduction: the bridge between thought and voice. There is a painful moment every English learner understands. You know the answer in your mind, but your mouth cannot deliver it. Your thoughts are ready. Your meaning is clear. Your English is somewhere inside you. But the second you try to speak, the sentence breaks, the voice slows down, and confidence begins to disappear. This is not because you are empty. This is because the bridge between your mind and your mouth has not been trained yet. Most learners keep filling the mind with more words, more grammar, and more lessons, but they never train the mouth to release English naturally. That is why they understand more than they can speak, think more than they can express, and prepare answers that never come out with power. This book is here to build that missing bridge. The mind-to-mouth method will train you to move English from silent thoughts into natural speech, so your ideas do not stay trapped inside your head, your confidence does not die before the first sentence, and your voice finally begins to speak what your mind already knows. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel right now because every audiobook on this channel is created for serious learners who are ready to stop staying silent and start speaking with confidence. And in the comments, write this powerful promise: I will speak what I think. Do not skip this, write it now, because the learner who only watches stays the same, but the learner who makes a promise starts changing today. This book is published by English Mindset Academy. Now let us begin the mind-to-mouth method. Chapter 1. The hidden gap between knowing English and speaking English. The biggest pain in English learning is not always that you do not know enough words, and it is not always that your grammar is weak, and it is not always that your pronunciation is bad, because sometimes the most painful problem is that you already know what you want to say, you already understand the question, you already have the idea inside your mind, but your mouth does not move with the same power as your thoughts. This is the hidden gap between knowing English and speaking English, and this gap is the reason so many learners feel confused about their own ability. They can watch English videos and understand the message, they can read English posts and understand the meaning, they can listen to slow conversations and follow the idea, they can recognize many words when other people speak, but when the moment comes to create their own sentence, the mind becomes heavy, the voice becomes weak, and the sentence comes out broken, late, or not at all. This is not because the learner is stupid. This is not because the learner is lazy. This is not because the learner is hopeless. This happens because understanding English and speaking English are not the same skill. Understanding English means the language is coming toward you, the sentence is already made, the words are already arranged, the meaning is already carried by someone else's voice, someone else's writing, or someone else's expression. Your job is to receive it, recognize it, and understand it. But speaking English is different. Speaking means the language must come from you, your brain must choose the idea, find the words, arrange the sentence, control the grammar, manage the pronunciation, face the fear, and send the message through your mouth in real time. That is why a learner can understand a long English lesson but still struggle to answer one simple question. That is why a learner can know thousands of words but still freeze when someone says, "Tell me about yourself." That is why a learner can study English for years but still feel nervous when speaking. Because the mind may have knowledge, but the mouth has not been trained to release that knowledge naturally. The mind-to-mouth method begins with this truth. English must not only be stored in your brain, English must be trained to travel from your thoughts into your voice. If English stays only in your mind, it becomes silent knowledge. Silent knowledge may help you understand, but it will not help you communicate with confidence. Silent knowledge may make you feel smart while studying, but it may disappear during conversation. Silent knowledge may help you pass written tests, but it may not help you speak naturally with real people. For English to change your life, it must move. It must move from memory to response. It must move from thought to sentence. It must move from your mind to your mouth. Many learners spend years feeding the mind but ignoring the mouth. They watch more lessons, write more vocabulary, save more grammar rules, listen to more explanations, and collect more information, but they do not practice turning that information into spoken English. They keep building a library inside the brain, but they never build the road that carries the books out into speech. Then they wonder why their English feels trapped. The answer is simple. A full mind is not enough if the speaking pathway is weak. Imagine a room full of treasure, but the door is locked. That is what happens when you know English but cannot speak it. The treasure is inside, but you cannot use it when you need it. Your words are inside, but they do not come out quickly. Your thoughts are inside, but they do not become speech. Your confidence is waiting, but it cannot grow because the bridge is not strong enough yet. This is the first thing you must understand. The goal is not only to learn more English. The goal is to activate the English you already know. A word you only recognize is passive. A word you can use in a sentence is active. A phrase you only understand belongs to listening. A phrase you can speak naturally belongs to communication. A grammar rule you only remember is information. A pattern you can use without panic is fluency training. Most learners have far more passive English than active English. Passive English means you understand it when you hear it or read it, but you cannot use it quickly when speaking. Active English means the word, phrase, or sentence is ready for your mouth. It can come out when you need it. It can help you respond. It can carry your meaning. It can work under pressure. This is why some learners say, "I know this word, but I cannot use it." That sentence reveals the whole problem. Knowing is not the final stage, using is the final stage. A word is not truly yours until you can use it. A sentence is not truly yours until you can speak it. A pattern is not truly yours until it can help you respond in real time. The mind-to-mouth method is not about collecting beautiful English that stays locked inside your notebook. It is about building usable English that can leave your mouth when life asks you to speak. Think about the difference between reading a sentence and speaking a sentence. When you read, your eyes move across the words, your brain receives the structure, and the meaning becomes clear. But when you speak, there is no sentence on the page waiting for you. You must create it. You must choose the opening. You must decide the structure. You must control the sound. You must speak while your emotions are active. This is why speaking feels harder than understanding. It demands production, not just recognition. Recognition is easier because the language already exists. Production is harder because you must create the language. But production becomes easier with training. The problem is that many learners train recognition every day and production almost never. They listen for 1 hour but speak for 1 minute. They read 10 pages but say 3 sentences. They watch hundreds of videos but rarely record their own voice. Then they feel surprised when speaking remains difficult, but the brain improves in the direction you train it. If you train understanding, understanding improves. If you train speaking, speaking improves. If you train only silent learning, you become a better silent learner. If you train spoken response, you become a better speaker. This is why your practice must change. You must stop measuring progress only by how much English you understand. You must begin measuring progress by how much English you can produce. Ask yourself, can I say this? Ask yourself, can I use this phrase in my own sentence? Ask yourself, can I answer a real question with this pattern? Ask yourself, can my mouth speak what my mind understands? These questions will transform your learning because they force English to move. When English moves, it becomes alive. When English stays silent, it remains incomplete. Many learners are waiting for the day when speaking becomes easy before they start speaking, but that day never comes without practice. Speaking becomes easy because you speak. Confidence grows because you use your voice. Response speed improves because you answer questions. Natural speech develops because your mouth repeats useful patterns until they feel familiar. You cannot wait for the bridge to appear. You must build it by walking across it again and again. At first, the bridge between mind and mouth may feel weak. You may think of a sentence slowly. You may speak with pauses. You may forget words. You may use simple grammar. You may feel uncomfortable hearing your own English voice. But none of that means you are failing. It means the bridge is under construction. A weak bridge becomes strong through use. A slow mouth becomes faster through repetition. A nervous voice becomes calmer through experience. A silent mind becomes a speaking mind through action. Do not judge the beginning too harshly. The beginning of every speaking journey feels uncomfortable. The mouth is learning new movements. The brain is building new pathways. The voice is getting used to a new identity. Your confidence is learning that English is not danger. Your nervous system is learning that mistakes do not destroy you. This takes time, but it begins only when you start. The first enemy of the mind-to-mouth bridge is overthinking. Overthinking happens when your mind tries to solve every part of the sentence before speaking. You think about grammar, word order, pronunciation, accent, mistakes, judgment, and the other person's reaction all at the same time. This creates mental traffic. The idea cannot reach your mouth because too many fears are standing in the road. Overthinking makes simple English feel difficult. Overthinking turns a normal question into a test. Overthinking makes your mouth wait for permission from your fear. But speaking does not require every sentence to be perfect before it begins. Real speech often becomes clear through movement. You start with a simple phrase, and the next phrase follows. You begin with "I think," and the idea opens. You begin with "What I mean is," and the explanation becomes easier. You begin with "the reason is," and your brain finds the reason while speaking. This is how natural conversation works. You do not always need to see the whole road before taking the first step. The second enemy is translation. Translation makes the bridge longer. Instead of moving from thought to English speech, your brain moves from thought to native language, from native language to English, from English to grammar checking, from grammar checking to fear, and only then to speech. By the time the words arrive, the conversation has moved forward and your confidence has dropped. The mind-to-mouth method trains a shorter road. Thought to meaning, meaning to English pattern to voice. This is the road of natural speech. If you feel hungry, do not build a long translated sentence. Say, "I'm hungry." If you feel nervous, say, "I feel nervous, but I can try." If you need time, say, "Give me a moment." If you do not understand, say, "Can you explain that again?" These sentences are simple, but they train direct movement. They teach your brain that English can come straight from the situation, not from translation. The third enemy is silent practice. Silent practice feels safe, but it is not enough. You can think about speaking for years and still struggle when you finally speak. You can read sentences silently and still feel heavy when you say them aloud. You can understand pronunciation in your head and still fail to produce the sound clearly. This is because speaking is physical. Your mouth must practice, your tongue must move, your lips must shape words, your breath must carry the sentence, your ears must hear your own English voice. If your mouth is not trained, your English will feel trapped. This is why every serious learner must speak out loud every day, even if only for a few minutes. Do not wait for a partner. Do not wait for a perfect room. Do not wait for confidence. Take one sentence and say it out loud. Take one thought and speak it. Take one question and answer it. Take one phrase and repeat it with feeling. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to teach your mouth that English belongs there. Your voice needs familiarity. The first time you hear yourself speaking English, you may feel strange. You may not like your accent. You may think you sound weak. You may feel embarrassed even though nobody is listening. But that strange feeling is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that your identity is changing. Your brain is hearing you in a new way. Your mouth is entering a new rhythm. Your confidence is meeting a new version of you. Keep going until the strange becomes normal. Normal is built through repetition. The fourth enemy is perfection pressure. Perfection pressure makes learners believe that every sentence must be correct before it is spoken. This creates silence because the mind can always find a reason to doubt. Maybe the tense is wrong. Maybe the word is not perfect. Maybe the pronunciation is not native. Maybe the sentence sounds too simple. Maybe someone will judge. This pressure kills the voice before communication begins. But English is not a museum piece that must be polished before anyone sees it. English is a tool for communication. A tool becomes useful when you use it. A simple sentence that communicates your meaning is better than a perfect sentence that never leaves your mind. The goal is not to protect your English from mistakes. The goal is to grow your English through use. Mistakes are not proof that you cannot speak. Mistakes are proof that you are training the speaking system. A person who speaks imperfectly and continues will improve faster than a person who waits silently for perfection. The speaking brain needs feedback. It needs attempts. It needs correction. It needs repetition. Silence gives the brain nothing to improve. Speaking gives the brain material. Every spoken sentence becomes data. Every mistake becomes information. Every correction becomes direction. Every attempt becomes proof that your voice can move. This is why you must stop asking, "How can I speak without mistakes?" and start asking, "How can I keep speaking while improving my mistakes?" The first question creates fear. The second question creates growth. The mind-to-mouth bridge becomes strong when you give your brain ready speaking patterns. A speaking pattern is a sentence road that helps your thoughts move faster. Without patterns, you must build every sentence from zero. With patterns, your brain already has a starting structure. You only add your meaning. For example, the pattern, "I want to," can carry many thoughts. I want to speak better. I want to improve my confidence. I want to practice every day. I want to answer faster. I want to stop freezing. One pattern becomes many sentences. The pattern "I'm trying to" can help you explain your effort. I'm trying to think in English. I'm trying to speak more naturally. I'm trying to improve my pronunciation. I'm trying to build my confidence. One pattern becomes a tool for real conversation. The pattern "what I mean is" can save you when your first sentence breaks. The pattern "let me explain" can give your brain time. The pattern "I'm not sure but" can help you speak even when your answer is not perfect. These patterns are not small phrases, they are bridges. They carry meaning from your mind to your mouth. This is how fluent speakers speak naturally. They are not creating every sentence word by word with heavy effort. Their brains use stored patterns. They have said certain structures so many times that those structures feel automatic. Their mouth knows the road. Their brain only chooses the destination. You can train the same ability by repeating useful patterns until they become familiar. The key word is useful. Do not waste your energy memorizing sentences you will never use. Build the English that matches your life. If you need to speak about your work, practice work sentences. If you need to introduce yourself, practice introductions. If you need to talk about your goals, practice goal sentences. If you need to handle nervous moments, practice confidence sentences. If you need daily conversation, practice daily responses. The bridge becomes stronger when the practice is personal. Personal English is easier to remember because it belongs to your life. When you say, "I'm learning English because I want better opportunities," the sentence carries your dream. When you say, "I feel nervous when I speak, but I still want to improve," the sentence carries your struggle. When you say, "I want to express myself more clearly," the sentence carries your goal. These sentences are not random. They are connected to who you are becoming. Connection creates memory. Memory supports response. Response builds fluency. Another powerful way to strengthen the mind-to-mouth bridge is to practice one thought in 3 levels. Start with the simplest version, then make it clearer, then make it more natural. For example, level 1, I want to speak English. Level 2, I want to speak English with confidence. Level 3, I want to speak English with confidence because I know it can create better opportunities for my future. This exercise teaches your brain that a thought can grow without pressure. Many learners freeze because they think they must create a complete answer immediately, but you can build speech step by step. Start simple, add reason, add detail, add feeling. This is natural. A strong answer does not always appear all at once. Sometimes it grows as you speak. The more you practice expanding thoughts, the easier it becomes to speak longer without translating. Practice with your real thoughts. I am tired. Then, I am tired because I worked a lot today. Then, I am tired because I worked a lot today, but I still want to practice English for a few minutes. This is how small English becomes natural speech. You are not forcing advanced language, you are expanding meaning. The bridge also becomes strong through question practice because real speaking often begins with questions. Someone asks, "How are you? What do you do? Why are you learning English? What do you think? Can you explain?" If your brain has never practiced answering common questions, it will panic when they appear, but if you train them every day, your mind feels familiar with the road. Take one question and answer it out loud many times. Do not only write the answer, speak it. Let your mouth practice the opening, let your voice practice the rhythm, let your brain practice the meaning. Answer simply first, then with more detail. Repeat until the answer feels less heavy. This is not boring repetition, this is building response power. For example, answer, "Why are you learning English?" in different ways. I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently. I'm learning English because I want better opportunities. I'm learning English because I want to understand people and express myself clearly. After repeating these answers, your brain will not feel empty when someone asks you in real life. You have already walked the road. The mind-to-mouth bridge needs proof. Your brain does not become confident because you say, "I will speak someday." It becomes confident when you give it proof that you can speak today. One spoken sentence is proof. One voice recording is proof. One answer is proof. One conversation attempt is proof. One moment where you continue after a mistake is proof. Confidence is built from collected proof. This is why recording your voice is powerful. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it gives your brain evidence. Record 1 minute about your day. Do not try to sound perfect. Just speak. Then listen with the mind of a coach, not the mind of an enemy. Notice one thing you did well. Notice one thing you can improve. Then record again. The second recording will usually be better because your brain has already practiced the route. Do not use recording to insult yourself. Use it to train yourself. If you hear mistakes, good, now you know what to improve. If you hear pauses, good, now you know where the bridge is weak. If you hear unclear pronunciation, good, now you know what your mouth needs to practice. Awareness is not failure. Awareness is direction. The mind-to-mouth bridge also needs calm. If fear takes control, the bridge shakes. This is why you must practice speaking slowly. Many learners try to speak fast because they think fast English sounds fluent, but speed without control creates more mistakes and more panic. Speak slowly first. Let your mouth form the words. Let your brain choose the pattern. Let your breath support the sentence. Clear, slow English is better than fast, broken English. When you speak slowly, you teach your nervous system that English is safe. You do not need to rush. You do not need to prove everything in one sentence. You do not need to sound like a native speaker immediately. You need to communicate. Slow speech gives your brain space to work. With repetition, slow becomes smooth, and smooth can later become faster. Another part of this bridge is recovery language. Recovery language means the phrases you use when something goes wrong. Many learners freeze because they do not know what to say when they forget a word or make a mistake, but strong speakers have recovery tools. They say, "Let me say that again." They say, "What I mean is." They say, "I forgot the exact word, but." They say, "Give me a moment." They say, "I can explain it another way." These phrases protect your confidence. They show your brain that one mistake does not end the conversation. They allow your mouth to keep moving. They turn a broken moment into a repairable moment. Without recovery language, every mistake feels like a wall. With recovery language, every mistake becomes a turn in the road. You must practice recovery before you need it. Say these phrases out loud until they feel natural. Let me say that again. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, I don't know the exact word. Can I explain it simply? These phrases are powerful because they give you time and keep your voice alive. The bridge between mind and mouth becomes strongest when English becomes part of your identity. If you see yourself only as someone who studies English, you may keep studying forever without speaking. But if you see yourself as a speaker in training, your behavior changes. You begin asking, "What can I say today?" Not only "What can I learn today?" You begin looking for chances to use English, not only understand English. You begin treating simple spoken sentences as progress, not embarrassment. Identity changes action. Action changes ability. Ability changes confidence. And confidence changes your future. You do not need to call yourself fluent before you are fluent, but you can call yourself a speaker in training. That identity is honest and powerful. It gives you permission to speak imperfectly because training is allowed to be imperfect. It gives you permission to repeat because training requires repetition. It gives you permission to make mistakes because mistakes are part of training. It gives you permission to improve because you are not fixed, you are building. This is the beginning of the mind-to-mouth method. You are not only learning English anymore. You are training English to move. You are training thoughts to become speech. You are training your mouth to follow your mind. You are training your confidence to survive mistakes. You are training your brain to respond instead of freeze, and the more you train, the more the gap begins to close. One day, the question that used to scare you will feel familiar. The sentence that used to feel heavy will come faster. The thought that used to stay trapped will begin to move through your voice. You will still be learning, but you will not be silent in the same way. You will still make mistakes, but those mistakes will not control you like before. You will still need practice, but practice will feel like building, not failing. That is how English changes. Not when you know everything, not when you become perfect, not when fear disappears completely, but when you finally begin moving English from your mind to your mouth every single day, because the English you understand can help your mind, but the English you speak can change your life. Chapter 2. Train your mouth to release the English your mind already knows. The mind can understand a language in silence, but the mouth cannot speak that language unless it has been trained to move, and this is the truth many English learners ignore ignore for years because they think that if they keep filling their mind with enough grammar, enough vocabulary, enough listening practice, enough lessons, and enough motivation, one day the mouth will automatically open and fluent English will begin to flow without any struggle. But the mouth does not become fluent by accident. The mouth becomes fluent through movement. The voice becomes confident through use. The sentence becomes natural through repetition. The speaking brain becomes fast through active training. This is why many learners feel shocked when they understand English very well but still cannot speak comfortably. They think the problem is only in the mind, so they keep feeding the mind with more information. They watch another video, they save another word, they write another rule. They listen to another explanation, but when the time comes to speak, the mouth still feels heavy because the mouth has not practiced enough to release the English that the mind already knows. This is like a singer who only studies songs but never sings out loud. The singer may know the lyrics, understand the melody, and recognize the rhythm, but if the voice has never practiced, the song will not come out with power. It is like an athlete who watches training videos but never moves the body. The mind may understand the technique, but the body has no strength. Speaking English is the same. Your mind may understand the language, but your mouth must be trained to perform the language. Speaking is not only mental, speaking is physical. Your tongue must move in new ways, your lips must shape unfamiliar sounds, your breath must support longer sentences, your ears must become familiar with your own English voice, your jaw, rhythm, pronunciation, pauses, and confidence must all learn to work together. If you only study silently, these parts remain untrained. That is why English can feel clear in your mind but heavy in your mouth. The mind-to-mouth method teaches you to stop treating speaking like a final test and start treating it like a daily physical habit. You do not become a speaker only by thinking about speaking. You become a speaker by speaking. You do not build voice confidence only by reading about confidence. You build it by hearing yourself speak again and again until your own English voice stops feeling strange. You do not train natural rhythm by keeping every sentence inside your head. You train it by letting English pass through your mouth repeatedly, imperfectly, and bravely. Many learners are afraid of hearing their own English voice. They feel uncomfortable when they record themselves. They think their accent sounds bad. They think their pronunciation is weak. They think their voice does not sound like the speakers they admire. So they avoid speaking out loud, and by avoiding the sound of their own English, they delay the moment when English can become natural. But the voice you avoid will never become strong. The voice you train will improve. At first, your spoken English may sound slow. Let it be slow. At first, your pronunciation may sound imperfect. Let it be imperfect. At first, your sentences may feel simple. Let them be simple. At first, your voice may feel nervous. Let it be nervous, but do not let it stay silent, because the goal in the beginning is not to sound perfect. The goal is to make English move. Once English starts moving, you can improve it. Once your mouth starts speaking, you can shape it. Once your voice starts coming out, you can strengthen it. But if English never leaves your mouth, there is nothing to train. Silent English cannot become fluent English until it becomes spoken English. This is why the first practice is simple. Take the English you already understand and say it out loud. Do not wait for difficult sentences. Do not wait for advanced vocabulary. Do not wait for perfect grammar. Start with the sentences your life actually needs. Say, I need to practice today. Say, I want to speak more naturally. Say, I feel nervous, but I can speak slowly. Say, I am learning English because I want better opportunities. Say, I understand English, but I need more speaking practice. These sentences may not look advanced, but they are powerful because they train the bridge between thought and voice. A sentence becomes stronger every time it travels through your mouth. The first time, it may feel strange. The second time, it may feel easier. The fifth time, it may feel familiar. The 10th time, your mouth begins to trust it. The 20th time, your brain begins to reach for it faster. This is how natural speech is built, not through one perfect attempt, through repeated movement. Many learners want to speak naturally, but they do not repeat enough to make natural speech possible. They say a sentence once and move on. They learn a phrase once and forget it. They practice a question once and expect it to appear perfectly in real conversation. But the brain does not build speaking reflex from one repetition. Reflex is built through deep repetition. A phrase must become familiar enough that your mouth does not fight it. A pattern must become familiar enough that your brain does not translate it. A response must become familiar enough that fear does not block it. This is why repetition is not boring. Repetition is fluency training. A musician repeats the same notes until the fingers move naturally. An athlete repeats the same movement until the body responds automatically. A speaker repeats the same sentence patterns until the mouth speaks with less pressure. English learners must stop feeling ashamed of repetition because repetition is the path from knowledge to reflex. When you repeat a sentence, you are not just saying words, you are training pronunciation, you are training rhythm, you are training grammar, you are training memory, you are training confidence, you are training the nervous system to feel safe while speaking English. Every repetition is a signal to your brain, this language belongs in my mouth. The problem is that many learners repeat silently. They look at a phrase and repeat it in the mind. That is useful for memory, but it is not enough for speech. Your mouth must participate, your voice must participate, your breath must participate. If you want to speak English, the practice must include speaking. Silent repetition builds silent familiarity. Spoken repetition builds speaking familiarity. Read this sentence and feel the difference. I want to express myself clearly. If you only read it silently, your mind understands it. But if you say it out loud 10 times, your mouth starts learning it. If you say it with feeling, your confidence starts connecting to it. If you use it in your own life, it becomes part of your speaking identity. That is the transformation you need. English must move from understanding to ownership. A sentence you only understand is still outside your speaking system. A sentence you speak again and again enters the system. It becomes available. It becomes easier to reach. It becomes more natural. That is why the mind-to-mouth method focuses on spoken ownership. You do not want English that only looks good in a notebook. You want English that can appear when life asks you to answer. One of the best ways to train the mouth is through personal sentence building. Do not only repeat random sentences that have no connection to your life. Build sentences about your real thoughts, your real problems, your real goals, your real emotions, and your real daily routine. Personal sentences are easier to remember because they carry meaning. They are not dead examples from a textbook. They are alive because they belong to you. For example, instead of only repeating, I am learning English, make it personal. I am learning English because I want to speak with confidence. Then make it deeper. I am learning English because I want to speak with confidence and stop feeling nervous in real conversations. Then make it even more natural. I am learning English because I understand a lot, but I want my speaking to become faster, clearer, and more natural. This is how one thought grows into natural speech. Start small. Add reason, add feeling, add detail. Speak it out loud. Repeat it until it feels easier. This process trains your brain to expand English instead of translating everything from your native language. When you build directly in English, your brain learns to create English thoughts with the English you already have. The sentence may be simple at first, but it is direct. Direct, simple English is more useful than complicated translated English that never comes out. Many learners make speaking difficult because they try to translate their full native language thoughts into English. Their native language may contain long sentences, cultural expressions, emotional details, and complicated structures. Then they try to carry all of that into English at once and the brain becomes overloaded. Instead of doing that, build the thought in English from the beginning. Use the English you have. Say it simply, then expand it step by step. If your thought is, I want to become fluent, say that first. Then add, I want to become fluent because I want to speak naturally. Then add, I want to become fluent because I want to speak naturally without translating every sentence in my head. Now the thought is growing in English. This is powerful because your brain is no longer waiting for a translated sentence. It is learning to produce English from meaning. The mouth also needs rhythm training. English has movement, it has pauses, it has stress. Some words are strong, some words are soft, some phrases connect smoothly. If you only read silently, you do not feel this rhythm. But when you speak out loud, rhythm becomes real. You start noticing which words are hard to say together. You notice where you pause. You notice where your breath stops. You notice which sounds feel heavy. This awareness is important because you cannot improve what you never hear. Choose a useful sentence and say it slowly. I am trying to speak English more naturally. Now say it again with a little more flow. I'm trying to speak English more naturally. Now say it like you are telling someone your real goal. I'm trying to speak English more naturally because I want to feel confident. This kind of practice trains both meaning and rhythm. It teaches your mouth not only what to say, but how to move through the sentence. Over time, English begins to feel less like separate words and more like connected speech. Connected speech matters because real speaking is not word-by-word translation. Real speaking moves in groups of words. Your mouth should become familiar with groups like I want to, I need to, I'm trying to, I don't know how to, what I mean is, let me explain, I feel like, and the reason is. These groups are called chunks, and chunks are powerful because they reduce mental pressure. Instead of building every sentence from individual words, your brain uses ready pieces. If you train chunks, your mouth becomes faster. If you train only isolated words, your mouth remains slow. Take the chunk, I'm trying to. Say it many times with different endings. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to practice. I'm trying to stop translating. I'm trying to answer faster. I'm trying to become more confident. The beginning becomes automatic and your brain only changes the ending. This is how natural speech works. Take the chunk, what I mean is, say it until it feels comfortable. What I mean is, I need more practice. What I mean is, I understand the idea but speaking is still difficult. What I mean is, I can explain it better if I speak slowly. This chunk is especially powerful because it helps you repair your speech. If your first sentence is not clear, you can continue. You do not need to stop. You can say, what I mean is, and build again. The mouth must also learn recovery language because real speaking is not perfect speaking. You will forget words, you will pause, you will make mistakes, you will start a sentence and then realize it is not correct. This is normal. But if you do not have recovery language, one small problem can destroy the whole conversation. Recovery language keeps the bridge open. Practice phrases like, let me say that again. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, give me a moment. I forgot the exact word. I can explain it another way. These phrases are not signs of weakness. They are signs of speaking maturity. They show that you know how to continue. They give your brain time. They protect your confidence. They keep communication alive. Many learners believe fluent speakers never need these phrases. That is not true. Strong speakers use repair language all the time. They pause, they restart, they clarify, they explain differently, they continue. The difference is that they do not panic when the sentence changes. They know conversation is flexible. You must learn the same flexibility. If you forget a word, do not stop. Explain around it. If you make a mistake, do not disappear, repair it. If your sentence breaks, do not surrender, start again. If your mind goes blank, do not judge yourself. Use a simple phrase and continue. This ability to continue is more important than perfect grammar in real conversation. A person who can continue will improve. A person who stops every time fear appears will remain trapped. The mind-to-mouth bridge becomes strong when you teach your voice to keep moving even when the road is not perfect. Another important part of mouth training is speed control. Many learners try to speak fast because they think fast English sounds fluent. But if your mouth is not trained yet, speed creates more pressure. Fast speaking can make your pronunciation unclear, your grammar weaker, and your confidence lower. It is better to speak slowly with control than quickly with panic. Slow speaking is not failure. Slow speaking is training. Slow speaking gives your brain time to choose words. Slow speaking gives your mouth time to form sounds. Slow speaking gives your confidence time to stay calm. With repetition, slow becomes smooth. After smooth, speed can grow naturally. Do not force speed before clarity. Build clarity first. Build control first. Build rhythm first. Then allow speed to develop as a result of familiarity. This is how real fluency grows. It does not begin as fast speech. It begins as controlled speech. Controlled speech becomes smooth speech. Smooth speech becomes natural speech. Natural speech can become faster speech. If you skip the early stages, you create pressure. If you respect the stages, you build strength. You must also train your mouth with daily question answers. Questions create pressure because they demand response. If you only practice statements, you may still freeze when someone asks something. So choose common questions and answer them out loud every day. How are you? What do you do? Why are you learning English? What is difficult for you? What did you do today? What are you trying to improve? What do you think about this? These questions should become familiar to your mouth. Answer them in simple English first, then answer with more detail, then answer like a real conversation. For example, why are you learning English? Simple, I'm learning English for my future. Clear, I'm learning English because I want better opportunities. Natural, I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently, understand people easily, and create better opportunities for my future. This 3-step method trains expansion. It teaches your mouth how to move from short answers to natural answers without panic. Many learners freeze because they try to create a long answer immediately, but you can grow the answer step by step. Start with the core meaning, add a reason, add detail, add feeling. This is natural speech. Practice another question. What is difficult for you in English? Simple. Speaking is difficult. Clear, speaking is difficult because I translate too much. Natural, speaking is difficult for me because I understand English, but when I try to speak, I translate too much in my mind and my answer becomes slow. This answer is powerful because it describes the learner's real problem. If you practice it often, you will be able to express your struggle clearly. Once you can express your struggle clearly, you feel less helpless. You begin to understand yourself. You begin to guide your practice. Question practice also builds confidence because it prepares you for real moments. When someone asks a question you have practiced, your brain does not feel completely surprised. Your mouth has already spoken similar answers. Your voice has already walked that road. This familiarity reduces fear. The answer may not be perfect, but it will not feel impossible. The mouth also needs emotional practice. Many learners speak with no feeling because they are too focused on correctness. Their English sounds flat and their brain does not connect deeply with the sentence. But emotion helps memory. Emotion helps confidence. Emotion helps the voice feel alive. When you say, I want to speak English confidently, say it like you truly want it. When you say, I feel nervous but I will try, say it like you are encouraging yourself. When you say, I am improving every day, say it like you believe change is possible. Do not practice English like a dead machine. Practice like a human being with goals, fear, hope, and purpose. Language is emotional. Real conversations are emotional. People speak because they feel, think, need, remember, dream, disagree, explain, and connect. If your English practice has no emotion, your speaking may feel lifeless. Connect English to your real emotions and your brain will hold it more strongly. This is why personal affirmations can help when they are connected to action. Say, I can speak slowly and still communicate. Then practice speaking slowly. Say, mistakes are part of my training. Then speak even when mistakes happen. Say, my mouth is learning English rhythm. Then repeat useful sentences out loud. These lines are not magic, but they guide your nervous system. They make speaking feel safer. The nervous system matters because fear affects the mouth. When you are afraid, your throat may tighten, your breathing may change, your mind may rush, and your tongue may feel heavy. This is why calm speaking practice is important. Before speaking, take a breath. Speak slower. Start with a familiar phrase. Do not attack yourself while speaking. Give your brain permission to communicate imperfectly. The sentence, give me a moment, can be powerful because it gives you control. If someone asks a question and your mind needs time, you can say, give me a moment. This is still English. This is still communication. This is still speaking. You do not have to answer instantly like a machine. Even fluent speakers take moments to think. The difference is they know how to hold the conversation while thinking. Train phrases that buy you time. Let me think. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but give me a second. I need to think about that. These phrases reduce panic because your brain knows it has options. Options create confidence. Confidence helps speech continue. Another powerful mouth training exercise is the 1-minute speaking drill. Choose a simple topic and speak for 1 minute without stopping. Your goal is not perfect English. Your goal is movement. Talk about your day, your goals, your English journey, your family, your work, your favorite food, your future plans, or a lesson you learned. If you forget a word, explain it another way. If you make a mistake, continue. If your sentence breaks, start again. The goal is to keep the bridge open. At first, 1 minute may feel long. Your mind may go blank after 20 seconds. That is normal. You are training. After a few days, 1 minute becomes easier. Then you can speak for 2 minutes, then 3. This builds speaking stamina. Many learners can say one sentence but cannot continue. Speaking stamina helps you carry ideas longer. To improve this drill, repeat the same topic for several days. On the first day, speak badly if needed. On the second day, speak again and improve one thing. On the third day, add more detail. On the fourth day, make it smoother. On the fifth day, record the best version. This repetition makes the topic familiar. Familiar topics build confidence. Confidence spreads to new topics. Do not think repeating the same topic is a waste of time. It is not. Repetition gives ownership. When you speak about your English journey 5 times, your brain becomes better at explaining it. When you speak about your daily routine 5 times, your daily English becomes smoother. When you introduce yourself 10 times, introduction stops feeling scary. This is exactly how speaking becomes natural. The mouth needs practice not only with sentences but also with transitions. Transitions help you connect ideas. Without transitions, learners speak in broken pieces. With transitions, speech becomes smoother. Use simple transitions like also, another thing is, for example, because of that, the main point is, at the same time, that is why, and in simple words. These phrases help your thoughts move from one sentence to the next. Practice them out loud. I want to improve my English. Also, I want to build confidence. Speaking is difficult for me. For example, sometimes I know the answer, but I cannot say it quickly. I translate too much. Because of that, my response becomes slow. The main point is, I need more speaking practice. These transitions make your English sound more connected and natural. Natural speech is not only about correct sentences, it is about connected ideas. The mind thinks in connected ideas, so the mouth must learn to connect them. Another important exercise is reading aloud with transformation. Take a short sentence from a lesson and read it out loud, then close the text and say the same idea in your own words. For example, read, "Speaking improves when English moves from passive memory into active response." Then say in your own words, "This means I should not only understand English, I should use it when I speak." This exercise trains understanding and production together. Do not only copy English, transform English. When you transform an idea into your own words, you train real speaking. Copying helps pronunciation. Transformation helps expression. You need both. First copy to learn rhythm, then transform to build your own voice. Your mouth must become the servant of your meaning, not only the echo of someone else's sentence. This is why shadowing is useful, but it must be balanced with personal speaking. Shadowing means repeating after a speaker to copy rhythm and pronunciation. It can train your mouth beautifully, but if you only shadow and never create your own sentences, you may become good at copying but still weak at expressing. After shadowing a sentence, create your own version. If you shadow, "I'm trying to speak more clearly," then say your own sentences. "I'm trying to speak more confidently. I'm trying to answer faster. I'm trying to stop translating." Now the phrase becomes yours. You are not only copying sound, you are building speech. The mouth also becomes stronger when you reduce the fear of your accent. Accent is not the enemy. Lack of clarity is the real problem. Your goal is not to erase yourself. Your goal is to be understood. Speak clearly. Learn difficult sounds. Improve pronunciation slowly. But do not let accent shame silence you. Many people speak English with different accents around the world. Communication does not require one perfect accent. Communication requires clear meaning, confidence, and practice. If you keep waiting until your accent becomes perfect, you may stay silent for years. But if you speak now and improve while speaking, your pronunciation will get better through use. The mouth learns sounds by making sounds. The ear improves by hearing your own attempts. Correction becomes easier when there is something to correct. Speak first. Improve as you go. This does not mean careless speaking. It means brave speaking with improvement. You can care about pronunciation without hating your voice. You can improve grammar without fearing every sentence. You can become clearer without becoming silent. This balanced mindset is important because extreme fear kills practice, and practice is the only way forward. The mind-to-mouth method is built on active courage. Active courage means you speak before you feel perfect, but you do not stay careless. You use English, notice your weak points, improve one thing, and use English again. This cycle creates growth. Speak, notice, improve, repeat. Speak, notice, improve, repeat. This is the real classroom of fluency. Many learners want a secret shortcut, but the real secret is controlled repetition with awareness. Repeat useful English. Notice what happens. Improve one part. Repeat again. This is simple, but it is powerful because it respects how the brain learns. The brain needs contact. The mouth needs movement. The confidence needs proof. The system needs feedback. Every cycle makes the bridge stronger. The mouth also needs permission to speak simple English. Some learners stay silent because they think their English is too simple, but simple English is not shameful. Simple English is the foundation of real communication. If your sentence is clear, it has value. If your message is understood, it is working. If your words express your meaning, they are useful. Do not reject simple English. Build from it. A child does not begin by speaking advanced sentences. A strong speaker does not build fluency by skipping the basics. A powerful building needs strong foundations. Your simple sentences are your foundation. Say them clearly, repeat them often, expand them slowly. One day, those simple sentences will become longer, smoother, and more natural. For example, start with "I want to improve." Then expand, "I want to improve my speaking." Then expand, "I want to improve my speaking because I feel nervous in conversations." Then expand, "I want to improve my speaking because I feel nervous in conversations, but I know daily practice can help me become more confident." This is how simple English becomes rich English. Do not wait for rich English before you speak. Speak simple English until it becomes rich. The bridge between mind and mouth becomes strong when English becomes a daily voice habit. This means every day your mouth must touch English, not only your eyes, not only your ears, your mouth. Even 5 minutes of spoken practice can make a difference if you do it every day with focus. Say your goals, answer questions, repeat patterns, record your voice, read aloud, explain a small idea, speak about your day. Make English physical. Your mouth needs daily contact because long gaps make speech feel strange again. If you speak once a week, the mouth may never become comfortable. If you speak every day, even briefly, English begins to feel more normal. Normality is powerful. What feels normal creates less fear. What creates less fear becomes easier to repeat. What repeats becomes stronger. This is why daily speaking is more powerful than occasional intense study. A person who speaks English for 10 minutes every day may build more speaking confidence than someone who studies silently for 3 hours once a week. Consistency matters because the brain changes through repeated signals. Every day you speak, you tell your brain, "I am a speaker in training." Every day you speak, you tell your mouth, "English belongs here." Every day you speak, you tell your confidence, "We are not hiding anymore." These messages become identity, and identity becomes fluency behavior. You must also protect yourself from the lie that you need perfect conditions to practice. You do not need a native speaker every day. You do not need a classroom every day. You do not need a paid teacher every day. These things can help, but they are not the only way. You can speak alone. You can record yourself. You can answer questions from a video. You can repeat audiobook sentences. You can describe your day. You can practice with your phone. You can speak in front of a mirror. You can create your own speaking environment. Do not let the absence of perfect conditions become an excuse for silence. Use what you have. Start where you are. Speak with the English you know. Build the bridge with small daily actions. The learner who practices with imperfect conditions will pass the learner who waits for perfect conditions. Waiting feels safe, but it delays growth. Action feels uncomfortable, but it creates progress. This chapter's deepest lesson is simple. Your mouth must become familiar with the English your mind already knows. Familiarity removes shock. Familiarity reduces fear. Familiarity creates speed. Familiarity builds rhythm. Familiarity makes speaking feel possible. When English is unfamiliar in the mouth, every sentence feels heavy. When English becomes familiar in the mouth, speech becomes lighter. That familiarity is not created by hope. It is created by repetition. So choose one useful sentence today and speak it many times. Choose one question and answer it out loud. Choose one thought and move it from your mind to your mouth. Choose one phrase and make it part of your voice. Do not wait for confidence to begin. Begin, and confidence will start following you. The mind may understand English, but the mouth must be trained to release it. The mind may hold the idea, but the voice must learn to carry it. The mind may know the sentence, but the mouth must practice the movement. And every time you speak, even slowly, even imperfectly, even with nervousness, you are strengthening the bridge. One day, that bridge will feel less shaky. One day, your thoughts will travel faster. One day, your mouth will stop feeling surprised by English. One day, the sentence that feels heavy today will come with more ease. But that day will not come from silent wishing. It will come from spoken practice. So speak what you think. Speak it simply. Speak it slowly. Speak it repeatedly. Speak it with courage. Because the mouth that practices becomes the mouth that speaks, and the learner who trains the voice becomes the speaker who finally releases the English that was waiting inside all along. Chapter 3. Stop translating every thought before you speak. Translation is one of the first tools many learners use when they begin learning English, and in the beginning it feels helpful because it gives meaning to unknown words, it gives comfort to confusing sentences, and it makes English feel less frightening when everything is new. But the same tool that helps you understand English in the beginning can become the very tool that slows down your speaking when you are trying to become fluent. Translation is like a walking stick for the beginner, but if you keep holding it forever, your legs never learn to walk freely. This is why so many learners feel trapped. They are not beginners anymore. They know many words. They understand common sentences. They can follow videos, subtitles, lessons, and conversations better than before. But their speaking still feels slow because every thought must pass through a long translation tunnel before it reaches the mouth. They do not move from meaning to English directly. They move from meaning to their native language, from native language to English, from English to grammar checking, from grammar checking to fear, and then from fear to a weak sentence that often comes too late. This is not natural speech. This is mental traffic. And mental traffic is one of the biggest reasons your mouth cannot keep up with your mind. The mind-to-mouth method teaches a shorter road. It teaches your brain to see meaning, feel meaning, and speak English from meaning without dragging every sentence back into your native language. This does not mean you must hate your native language. Your native language is part of your identity, your culture, your emotions, and your life. The goal is not to destroy your first language. The goal is to stop using it as the only doorway into English speaking. You can respect your native language and still train your brain to speak English directly. You can use translation sometimes for learning difficult ideas, but you should not depend on translation for every sentence in real conversation. You can understand meaning in your own language when needed, but your speaking practice must train English to come from meaning faster. This difference matters deeply because real conversation does not wait for slow translation. When someone asks you a question, the moment is alive. The other person is looking at you. Your brain feels pressure. You want to answer. You want to sound clear. You want to avoid mistakes. If you translate every word, the pressure becomes heavier. Your mind starts working too hard. Your sentence becomes delayed. Then fear enters. Then confidence drops. Then you may say only 2 words, or you may say nothing at all. Afterward, the painful thing happens. You think of the perfect sentence when the conversation is already over? This is one of the most frustrating experiences in English learning. In the moment, you freeze. Later, when you are alone, the answer comes. You say to yourself, "I knew what to say. Why did I not say it?" The answer is that your English did not disappear. It was simply trapped behind translation, pressure, and slow access. Your brain found the sentence later because the pressure was gone and time was available. But real speaking needs the sentence during the moment, not after the moment. That is why you must train direct response. Direct response means your brain connects English with real situations, not only with translated meanings. When you feel thirsty, your brain should think, "I need water." When you are tired, your brain should think, "I need some rest." When you do not understand, your brain should think, "Can you explain that again?" When you need time, your brain should think, "Give me a moment." These sentences may seem simple, but they are powerful because they train the brain to respond directly from life. Many learners make the mistake of chasing advanced English before simple English becomes automatic. They want impressive vocabulary, complicated grammar, and long sentences, but when a simple moment appears, the mouth still freezes. This shows that fluency is not built from difficulty first. Fluency is built from automatic basics. If your basic English is slow, your advanced English will be unstable. But if your basic English becomes fast and natural, Your advanced English has a strong foundation. A person who can say simple things naturally has already started building real fluency. A person who can respond quickly with clear English is stronger than a person who knows difficult words but cannot speak. A person who can use English under pressure is more fluent than a person who only understands English in silence. This is why you must stop disrespecting simple, direct sentences. Simple, direct sentences are not childish. They are the roots of natural speech. When roots are strong, the tree can grow high. When roots are weak, the tree falls under pressure. Direct English begins with direct naming. Look at the world around you and name things in English. Door, chair, phone, table, window, road, water, book, room, light. This may feel too basic, but the brain needs direct connection. When you see a phone, the word phone should appear without translation. When you see water, the word water should appear without translation. When you see a door, the word door should appear without translation. These small connections train your brain to attach English to reality. After direct naming, move to direct action. Do not only name the object, describe what is happening. I am opening the door. I am checking my phone. I am drinking water. I am sitting in my room. I am reading a book. I am going outside. These sentences build the bridge between real life and English speech. You are not translating a school exercise, you are describing reality directly. Then move to direct feeling. I am tired, I feel nervous, I feel happy, I am confused, I feel confident today, I am not ready yet. Feelings are important because real conversations are not only about objects and actions. People speak about emotions, problems, hopes, fears, and opinions. If your English cannot describe your feelings, your speaking will feel limited. So train emotional English directly. When you feel nervous, do not only feel nervous in silence, say, I feel nervous, but I can speak slowly. When you feel confused, say, I am confused, but I can ask a question. When you feel proud, say, I feel proud because I practiced today. When you feel discouraged, say, I feel discouraged, but I will try again. These sentences are powerful because they connect English with your emotional life. English becomes personal, English becomes real. English becomes part of your inner world. This is how translation begins losing power. Not by fighting it with anger, not by saying, I must never translate, but by building a stronger direct connection. If your brain has no direct English path, it will return to translation because translation is familiar. But when you create direct English paths every day, your brain starts choosing them more often. The old path becomes weaker because you use it less. The new path becomes stronger because you use it more. This is how habits change. You do not only remove the old habit, you build a new habit that becomes easier to follow. The old habit says, think in native language, translate into English, check grammar, fear mistakes, speak slowly. The new habit says, feel meaning, choose a pattern, speak simple English, continue, improve. The old habit creates delay. The new habit creates movement. The old habit feeds fear. The new habit builds confidence. The old habit keeps English in the mind. The new habit brings English to the mouth. One of the best ways to train this new habit is through situation practice. Instead of memorizing isolated vocabulary, choose real situations and train direct English for those situations. For example, imagine you are at a shop. What English do you need? How much is this? I would like this one. Do you have another color? Can I pay by card? I am just looking. These sentences are connected to a situation. Because they have a purpose, your brain remembers them better. Imagine you are meeting someone. What English do you need? Nice to meet you. Where are you from? What do you do? I am learning English. I am trying to speak more confidently. Again, these sentences are not random. They belong to a real speaking moment. That makes them easier to use. Imagine you are explaining your English journey. What English do you need? I understand English, but speaking is difficult for me. Sometimes I translate too much. I am trying to think directly in English. I want to speak more naturally. I practice every day to build confidence. These sentences are personal and useful. They describe your real experience. Practice them until your mouth can say them with less effort. Situation practice is powerful because it prepares the brain for life, not just lessons. Many learners study English in a way that is disconnected from real situations. They memorize words they never use. They read sentences that do not belong to their life. They study grammar rules without connecting them to daily communication. Then, when real conversation appears, the brain does not know which English to choose. It has information, but not preparation. The mind-to-mouth method is different. It asks, where will you need English? Then it trains English for that place. It asks, what do you need to say? Then it trains those sentences. It asks, what thoughts are trapped inside you? Then it teaches your mouth to release them. This is practical fluency. This is English for life. Another powerful practice is the direct response drill. This drill trains your brain to answer without building a full translated sentence first. Choose a simple question and answer quickly with a simple sentence. Do not try to make it perfect. Do not try to make it impressive. Answer directly. Question: how are you? Answer: I am good, but a little tired. Question: what are you doing? Answer: I am practicing English. Question: why are you learning English? Answer: I want to speak confidently. Question: what is difficult for you? Answer: speaking is difficult because I translate too much. Question: what do you want? Answer: I want to speak naturally. The goal is speed of access, not complexity. You are training the mind to respond. Once the short answer becomes easy, expand it. I want to speak confidently because I want better opportunities, then expand again. I want to speak confidently because I want better opportunities and I want to express myself clearly in real conversations. This method keeps the response direct while allowing growth. Many learners try to speak long before they can speak directly. That creates pressure. Direct first, long later, clear first, advanced later, response first, beauty later. A sentence that comes out is better than a sentence that stays inside forever. Another important practice is replacing native language thoughts with simple English thoughts during daily life. You do not need to think in English all day. That may be too difficult in the beginning. Start with small chosen moments. When you wake up, think 3 sentences in English. I need to get up. Today I will practice English. I want to stay focused. When you are eating, think 3 sentences. This food is good. I am hungry. I need some water. When you are working, think 3 sentences. I have to finish this. This is important. I need to focus. These small moments teach your brain that English can live inside normal life. Do not wait for special study time only. English must enter ordinary moments if you want it to become natural. If English appears only when you open a book, it will feel like a subject. If English appears when you walk, eat, work, rest, plan, and feel, it becomes a living language. A living language is easier to speak because it is connected to your daily reality. The mouth speaks more naturally when the mind has already lived with the sentence. This is why thinking in English supports speaking in English. If you have thought "I need to focus" many times during the day, it becomes easier to say it out loud. If you have thought "I am trying to improve" many times, it becomes easier to say it in conversation. If you have thought "I do not understand this yet" many times, it becomes easier to say it when you need help. Inner repetition prepares outer speech, but remember, thinking in English alone is not enough. The sentence must eventually leave the mouth. So after thinking, speak. Whisper if needed. Record if possible. Say the sentence out loud once. This turns mental English into physical English. It strengthens the mind-to-mouth bridge. Another reason translation is dangerous is that it often creates unnatural sentences. When you translate word by word from your native language, the sentence may carry the structure of your first language instead of natural English. This can make your English sound heavy, confusing, or slow. But when you learn English patterns directly, your sentences become more natural because you are using structures that English speakers actually use. For example, instead of translating a complicated thought word by word, learn patterns like "I feel like," "I'm trying to," "I need to," "I'm not used to," "I'm looking for," "I'm interested in," "I don't know how to," "It depends on." These patterns are natural English roads. Once your brain knows the road, your meaning can travel more smoothly. The pattern "I'm not used to" is useful. You can say, "I'm not used to speaking English yet." "I'm not used to answering quickly." "I'm not used to thinking in English." This pattern expresses your learning stage naturally. The pattern "I don't know how to" is useful. You can say, "I don't know how to explain it clearly." "I don't know how to pronounce this word." "I don't know how to answer quickly." This pattern helps you express difficulty without freezing. The pattern "it depends on" is useful. You can say "it depends on the situation," "it depends on the person," "it depends on how much time I have." This pattern helps you give opinions naturally. These patterns reduce translation because they give your brain ready English structures. You do not need to build from your native language. You begin from English. That is a major shift. Translation also becomes weaker when you practice with images, actions, and feelings instead of definitions. If you want to learn the word hungry, do not only translate it. Feel hunger and say, "I am hungry." If you want to learn busy, notice a busy moment and say, "I am busy right now." If you want to learn confused, use it when you are truly confused. "I am confused." This connects the word to experience. Experience is stronger than translation. A word connected to experience becomes easier to use. A word connected only to a translation may stay passive. This is why you should learn vocabulary through personal sentences. Do not write only confident equal meaning. Write, "I feel confident when I practice every day." Do not write only improve equal meaning. Write, "I want to improve my speaking." Do not write only nervous equal meaning. Write, "I feel nervous when I speak English with new people." These personal sentences turn words into speaking tools. Your notebook should not be a dictionary graveyard where words go to sleep. Your notebook should be a speaking toolbox where phrases become ready for life. Every word you write should have a sentence. Every sentence should have a voice. Every voice should have repetition. Every repetition should build response. This is how passive English becomes active English. Another powerful way to stop translation is to practice explaining simple ideas using simple English. Many learners think they need exact words to express themselves. If they forget one word, they stop. But natural speakers do not stop just because one word is missing. They explain around it. They use simpler words. They describe the meaning. This skill is very important because it frees you from the fear of missing vocabulary. If you forget the word umbrella, you can say "the thing we use when it rains." If you forget appointment, you can say "a meeting at a fixed time." If you forget confidence, you can say "the feeling that I can do something." If you forget translation, you can say "changing meaning from one language to another." This ability keeps speech alive. Do not let one missing word destroy the whole sentence. English has many roads. If one road is closed, take another road. This flexibility is part of fluency. A translating brain wants the exact word. A speaking brain wants to communicate the meaning. The exact word is useful, but meaning is more important. If you can explain the meaning, you can continue. If you continue, you gain confidence. If you gain confidence, your speaking grows. Later, you can learn the exact word, but in the moment, keep moving. Practice this skill daily. Choose one simple word and explain it in English. A teacher is a person who helps students learn. A phone is something we use to call people and send messages. Confidence is the feeling that you can do something. Fluency means speaking smoothly without too much delay. These explanations train your brain to think in English, not translate. Another trap is translating grammar rules while speaking. Some learners know grammar, but they use it like a heavy machine in conversation. They think, "Is this present perfect or past simple? Should I use has or have? Should I use the or a? Is this sentence active or passive?" Grammar matters, but if you analyze every rule while speaking, your response becomes slow. Grammar should become pattern, not pressure. Instead of thinking about the rule every time, repeat natural examples until the structure becomes familiar. Do not only study "I have been learning English for 2 years." Say it, use it, change it. "I have been practicing speaking for 3 months." "I have been trying to think in English." "I have been watching English lessons." "I have been working on my confidence." After enough repetition, the grammar becomes a usable pattern. This is how you move from grammar knowledge to grammar feeling. Grammar feeling means the sentence begins to sound right because you have used the pattern many times. It does not mean you never study rules. It means rules are supported by repeated examples. Examples make grammar alive. Rules without examples stay dry. Examples with voice become speech. Direct English also requires accepting imperfect direct sentences. When you first stop translating, your sentences may become simpler. This can make you feel like you are going backward. You may think, "In my language, I can express this idea beautifully, but in English, I can only say it simply." Do not be discouraged. This is normal. When you build direct English, you begin with what your English system can carry. Over time, your direct sentences become richer. A simple direct sentence is better than a beautiful translated sentence that never comes out. Start with the English you can produce, then expand it, then refine it, then make it more natural. This is the real path. For example, maybe you want to express a deep idea about your future. Instead of trying to translate a complex thought, start with "I want a better future," then expand "I want a better future and English can help me." Then expand more. "I want a better future and I believe English can help me find better opportunities and communicate with more confidence." Now your thought is growing in English. It may not be perfect, but it is alive. This growth is better than silence. Many learners stay silent because they are trying to say everything exactly as they would say it in their native language. But English has its own way. Let English express the idea in English. Do not force it to carry every native language structure. Use simple English roads. Build the meaning step by step. Natural speech grows from available language, not perfect translation. Another daily exercise is the No Translation Minute. Choose 1 minute and describe your surroundings only in English. Do not allow your brain to translate every word. Use what you see. "This is my room. The table is near the wall. My phone is on the table. I am sitting here. The light is on. I need to practice English." If you do not know a word, skip it or describe it simply. The goal is direct English movement. Then increase to 2 minutes. Then 3. Over time, your brain becomes less afraid of thinking directly in English. It learns that it can survive without translating everything. It learns that simple English can carry meaning. It learns that missing words are not disasters. This is how direct speech becomes stronger. Another exercise is the direct opinion drill. Choose a simple topic and give your opinion directly in English. "I think learning English is important." Then add a reason. "I think learning English is important because it helps people communicate." Then add a personal detail. "I think learning English is important because it helps people communicate, and I want to use it for my future." This trains opinion speech without translation. Practice with topics like daily practice, confidence, mistakes, speaking fear, listening, grammar, pronunciation, and goals. Your opinions do not need to be advanced. They need to be clear. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence builds length. Length builds fluency. Another important idea is that direct English must be practiced under low pressure before high pressure. If you never practice direct sentences alone, it will be difficult to use them in conversation. Start privately. Think and speak simple sentences when nobody is listening. Then record yourself. Then speak with someone patient. Then try real conversations. This gradual approach helps your nervous system accept English speaking. Do not expect your brain to perform under pressure what it has never practiced in safety. Practice in safety first, then bring it into pressure slowly. This is how fear reduces. This is how response grows. This is how the mouth learns to follow the mind. When you stop translating every thought, you also begin to speak with more honesty. Translation often makes learners focus on correctness so much that they lose connection with meaning. They become so busy building the sentence that they forget the message. But direct English brings you back to meaning. What do you actually want to say? What do you feel? What is the main idea? What does the other person need to understand? Meaning is the heart of communication. If you keep meaning first, your speech becomes more alive. If you keep perfection first, your speech becomes more fearful. This does not mean accuracy is unimportant. It means accuracy should grow around communication, not replace communication. First, say the meaning, then improve the form. First, move the thought, then refine the sentence. First, build the bridge, then decorate it. The mind-to-mouth method is not against grammar, vocabulary, or correction. It simply puts them in the right place. Grammar helps you organize meaning. Vocabulary gives you more choices. Correction improves your accuracy, but direct response gives you movement. Without movement, all the other tools stay trapped. A learner who speaks directly with simple English can improve quickly because there is something to improve. A learner who stays silent cannot improve speaking because nothing is being spoken. This is why direct English is so important. It creates material for growth. It turns hidden knowledge into visible practice. It gives your brain a chance to learn from real use. The journey away from translation will not happen in one day. You may still translate sometimes. That is normal. Do not panic. Do not insult yourself. Do not think you failed. Translation is a habit, and habits weaken gradually. Every direct sentence weakens translation a little. Every direct thought strengthens English a little. Every spoken response makes the new road more familiar. Progress may look like this. First, you translate almost everything. Then, some simple sentences become direct. Then, common responses become direct. Then, daily thoughts become direct. Then, opinions become easier. Then, longer explanations begin to form in English. This is a real path. Respect it. Do not demand full fluency from your brain immediately. Train the next direct sentence. Train the next direct response. Train the next direct thought. That is how the system changes. One of the most powerful reminders is this: your goal is not to stop thinking. Your goal is to think in English more directly. Some learners misunderstand fluency and think fluent speakers speak without any thinking. That is not true. Fluent speakers think, but they think through the language more naturally. Their thoughts and speech are closer together. Your goal is to close that distance. The thought appears, the English pattern comes, the mouth speaks, and the message moves. The smaller the distance between thought and speech, the more natural your English feels. Translation increases the distance. Direct meaning reduces the distance. Practice strengthens the bridge. Repetition makes the bridge faster. Courage keeps the bridge open. So from today, when you want to speak English, do not ask first, how do I translate this perfectly? Ask, what is the simple meaning? Then ask, what English pattern can carry this meaning? Then speak. Maybe the sentence is not perfect. Speak it anyway, then improve it. This habit will change your speaking life. If the meaning is that you need time, say, give me a moment. If the meaning is that you do not understand, say, I don't understand this yet. If the meaning is that you are learning, say, I'm still learning, but I'm improving. If the meaning is that you have an opinion, say, I think. If the meaning is that you need to explain, say, what I mean is. These simple patterns are direct roads. Use them again and again. Let them become natural. Let them become part of your voice. The English you speak directly becomes stronger than the English you translate slowly. Direct English may begin simple, but it grows. Translated English may look advanced in your mind, but it often dies before speech. Choose the English that moves. Choose the English that comes out. Choose the English that builds confidence. Because fluency is not only about beautiful sentences, fluency is about available sentences. Sentences that arrive when needed. Sentences that carry meaning. Sentences that keep conversation alive. Sentences that help you continue. Sentences that make your thoughts audible. That is the real victory. When your thoughts no longer stay trapped behind translation, your voice begins to wake up. When your voice wakes up, your confidence begins to rise. When confidence rises, practice becomes easier. When practice becomes easier, English becomes more natural. And when English becomes more natural, the distance between your mind and your mouth becomes smaller every day. This is how translation loses control. This is how direct speech begins. This is how the mind-to-mouth bridge becomes stronger, not by waiting for perfect English, not by memorizing endlessly, not by hiding behind silent understanding, but by training meaning to move directly into English, one sentence, one response, one brave spoken thought at a time. Chapter 4. Break the fear that stops the first sentence. The most dangerous moment in English speaking is often not the middle of the conversation, and it is not always the difficult word, the advanced grammar, or the long explanation, because for many learners, the most dangerous moment is the first sentence, the small opening moment where the mind knows it must speak, the mouth knows it must move, the other person is waiting, and the learner suddenly feels as if all the English they have ever learned has disappeared. This first sentence carries more pressure than most people realize. Before the first sentence, fear has power. Before the first sentence, the mind is full of questions. Before the first sentence, the learner is wondering whether the grammar will be correct, whether the pronunciation will sound strange, whether the other person will judge, whether the answer will be too simple, whether the words will come out wrong, and whether silence might feel safer than speaking. That is why the first sentence is not only a language moment, it is a courage moment. It is the moment where you decide whether your English will stay trapped inside your mind or begin traveling toward your mouth. Many learners do not freeze because they have absolutely nothing to say. They freeze because the first sentence feels too heavy. They feel that the first sentence must be perfect because it will decide how the other person sees them. They feel that if the first sentence is wrong, the whole conversation will collapse. They feel that if they make one mistake, they will lose respect. So instead of speaking imperfectly, they remain silent, and silence begins to feel like protection. But silence is not protection if it keeps you trapped. Silence may protect you from one mistake today, but it also steals one chance to grow. Silence may protect you from one uncomfortable moment, but it also teaches your brain that speaking is dangerous. Silence may feel safe for a few seconds, but if you choose it again and again, it becomes a habit, and that habit slowly turns into fear, regret, and a weak speaking identity. This is why the mind-to-mouth method teaches that the first sentence does not need to be perfect. The first sentence needs to be released. It needs to break the wall. It needs to start movement. It needs to tell your brain, we are not hiding anymore. Once the first sentence comes out, even if it is simple, something changes inside the mind. The pressure begins to reduce, the mouth begins to warm up, the brain begins to search for the next idea. Confidence begins to return because action has started. The first sentence is like opening a locked door. Before you open it, the door feels heavy. You imagine everything that could go wrong. You stand outside waiting, thinking, worrying, delaying. But once the door opens even slightly, the room becomes less frightening. You can see inside. You can take the next step. Speaking works the same way. The first sentence opens the door of the conversation. It does not have to be beautiful. It only has to open the door. This is why sentence starters are powerful. A sentence starter is not just a phrase, it is a mental key. It gives your mouth a beginning when your mind is under pressure. It helps your thoughts start moving before fear blocks them. It gives your brain a familiar road. When you have no starter, your mind must create the whole sentence from zero, and that can feel overwhelming. But when you have practiced strong starters, your mouth knows how to begin. Starters like I think, to be honest, what I mean is, the reason is, in my opinion, I feel like, let me explain, I'm not sure but, for me, in my experience, the main point is, are powerful because they reduce the fear of beginning. They do not solve the whole conversation, but they give you the first step. And sometimes the first step is the hardest part. Many learners wait until the entire answer is ready before speaking. They want the full sentence, the full grammar, the full structure, the perfect word, the correct ending, and the safe pronunciation before the mouth opens. But real conversation often does not work like a written essay. In speaking, you can begin with a starter and build while speaking. You can say, I think, and then your mind finds the opinion. You can say, the reason is, and then your mind finds the reason. You can say, what I mean is, and then your explanation becomes clearer as you continue. This does not mean speaking without thinking. It means thinking while speaking in a natural way. Fluent speakers do this all the time. They start a sentence, adjust it, add details, change direction, explain again, and continue. They do not always wait for a perfect sentence inside the mind before starting. They trust that speech can grow through movement. Learners often do not trust movement because they are afraid of mistakes, but trust is built by speaking, not by waiting. The fear of the first sentence becomes weaker every time you speak first. Every time you answer with a simple phrase, the brain receives evidence. Every time you begin even with nervousness, the brain receives evidence. Every time you speak and survive the moment, the brain receives evidence. This evidence is what builds confidence. Confidence is not something that suddenly falls from the sky. Confidence is collected proof. The more proof you collect, the more your brain believes, I can speak. Most learners want confidence before they speak, but confidence usually comes after speaking. This is difficult to accept because fear says, wait until you feel ready, but fluency says, you become ready by practicing. Fear says, do not speak until you are perfect. Growth says, speak so you can improve. Fear says, one mistake will embarrass you. Experience says, one mistake will teach you. The voice you listen to will shape your future. If you listen to fear every time, fear becomes stronger. If you choose action despite fear, courage becomes stronger. This is why the first sentence is a training ground for courage. It teaches you to move before comfort arrives. It teaches you to begin before perfection appears. It teaches you to communicate before the mind has finished overthinking. This does not make you careless, it makes you active. You can speak carefully without becoming silent. You can improve grammar without waiting forever. You can care about pronunciation without hating your voice. You can be serious about English without being afraid of every sentence. The mind-to-mouth method is not about reckless speaking. It is about brave speaking with improvement. There is a difference. Reckless speaking ignores growth. Brave speaking accepts mistakes and learns from them. Reckless speaking does not care about clarity. Brave speaking tries to communicate clearly with the English available. Reckless speaking never corrects. Brave speaking speaks first, then improves. This is the balance you need. Speak with courage, then correct with patience. Move the sentence, then refine the sentence. Build the bridge, then strengthen the bridge. The first sentence becomes easier when you stop making it carry your entire identity. One sentence does not prove your intelligence. One mistake does not define your English. One pause does not mean you are a failure. One broken answer does not erase all your progress. But many learners treat one speaking moment like a final judgment. They think, if I fail here, it means my English is bad. This mindset creates enormous pressure, and pressure makes the brain freeze. You must reduce the emotional weight of each sentence. A sentence is not a judgment. A sentence is practice. A conversation is not a court. A conversation is communication. A mistake is not a disaster. A mistake is feedback. When you see speaking this way, the first sentence becomes lighter. It is no longer a life or death moment. It is a training moment. You are allowed to start simply. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to repair. You are allowed to say, let me think. You are allowed to say, I mean. You are allowed to say, let me say that again. You are allowed to speak like someone who is learning because you are learning, and learning is not shameful. One of the strongest ways to break fear is to prepare first sentence patterns for common situations. Do not wait for real pressure to create everything. Train the openings before you need them. If someone asks about your day, practice saying, it was good but a little busy. If someone asks your opinion, practice saying, I think it depends on the situation. If someone asks why you are learning English, practice saying, I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently. If someone asks what is difficult for you, practice saying, speaking is difficult for me because I sometimes translate too much. These openings are simple, but they are powerful because they give your brain a ready beginning. Once the beginning comes out, you can add more. It was good, but a little busy because I had a lot of work to finish. I think it depends on the situation because every person learns differently. I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently and create better opportunities. Speaking is difficult for me because I sometimes translate too much, but I am practicing to respond faster. This is how simple starters become natural speech. Start with the core. Add the reason. Add the detail. Add the feeling. Do not force everything at once. Let the sentence grow. Another reason the first sentence feels hard is that many learners are afraid of sounding too simple. They think their first sentence must sound smart, fluent, advanced, and impressive. But this desire to impress often creates silence. The mind rejects simple sentences because they feel too basic, but the advanced sentence is not ready, so nothing comes out. This is a painful trap. The learner has simple English available but refuses to use it, and advanced English is not automatic yet, so the conversation dies. Do not let pride silence you. Simple English is not weakness. Simple English is movement. Simple English is communication. Simple English is the foundation of fluent English. A simple first sentence gives your brain something to build on. I agree. I'm not sure. That's interesting. I think so. Let me explain. I need a moment. These sentences may look small, but in real conversation they are strong because they keep communication alive. A small sentence spoken at the right time is better than a big sentence that never leaves your mouth. You must train yourself to respect small beginnings. Every long answer begins with a short opening. Every fluent conversation begins with one first phrase. Every confident speaker begins by moving the mouth. If you reject small openings, you reject the path to bigger speech. Use the small sentence. Let it open the door, then continue. The first sentence also becomes easier when you prepare time phrases. Time phrases give your brain a few seconds to think without falling into silence. Many learners panic because they believe they must answer instantly, but real speakers often take time. They say, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. I need a moment. I'm not sure how to explain it, but these phrases are still English. They are still communication. They show that you are present in the conversation even while thinking. Silence can feel like failure because it looks like you have nothing to say, but a time phrase turns silence into communication. Instead of freezing, you say, let me think for a moment. Now the other person knows you are thinking. Your brain gets space. Your confidence stays alive. Your mouth has already started speaking. This is powerful. Practice time phrases out loud until they become automatic. Do not only understand them, say them, repeat them, use them in mock answers. That's a good question, I think. Let me think for a second. In my opinion, I'm not sure how to explain it, but what I mean is, these combinations train you to begin even when you need time. Another powerful tool is soft beginning. A soft beginning means you start with a phrase that reduces pressure. Instead of trying to give a perfect answer immediately, you begin gently. I think, maybe, for me, I would say, I'm still learning, but these phrases make the answer feel less rigid. They give you room to be imperfect. They reduce the fear that your sentence must sound final and perfect. For example, instead of forcing a strong, perfect opinion, you can say, I would say English speaking is difficult because it needs fast response. This sounds natural and gives you space. Instead of freezing when unsure, say, I'm not sure, but I think practice is the most important thing. This allows you to speak even without complete certainty. Instead of staying silent because you are still learning, say, I'm still learning, but I can explain my idea simply. This protects your confidence. These phrases are not excuses. They are communication tools. They help your thoughts move when pressure is high. The first sentence also depends on breathing. This may sound simple, but it matters. When fear rises, breathing becomes shallow, the throat tightens, the mouth becomes dry. The sentence feels harder. If you rush into speaking while your body is tense, your English may feel worse than it really is. Before answering, take a small breath. Let your body calm slightly, then use a starter. This tiny habit can change the first sentence. A calm body supports a clearer voice. A panicked body makes English feel heavier. You cannot always remove nervousness completely, but you can lower it enough to speak. Do not wait until fear becomes zero. Fear may still be there. Speak with it. Say the first sentence slowly. Let the mouth move. Once the sentence begins, the body often relaxes. Action teaches the nervous system that the moment is survivable. This is one of the deepest truths about speaking fear. Your brain learns safety through experience, not theory. You can tell yourself, speaking is safe, but your brain believes it more when you actually speak and survive. Every small speaking attempt becomes evidence. Every first sentence becomes a small victory. Every moment where you continue after nervousness becomes proof. Proof changes fear. Fear says you cannot do this. Proof says you already did it before. Fear says you will freeze. Proof says you can start with a simple sentence. Fear says you will make mistakes. Proof says you made mistakes and continued. This is how your identity begins changing. The first sentence is also difficult because learners often focus too much on the listener's judgment. They imagine the other person thinking, his English is bad, or she speaks slowly, or this sentence is wrong. Maybe some people will judge, maybe some people will not. You cannot control every listener, but you can control your training. You can control whether you speak, you can control whether you continue, you can control whether one person's opinion becomes stronger than your future. Do not make your fluency dependent on perfect listeners. Some listeners will be patient, some listeners will be impatient. Some listeners will support you. Some listeners may not understand your journey, but your growth cannot wait until everyone becomes kind. You must become strong enough to practice even when the world is not perfect. This does not mean you should stay around cruel people. Choose supportive environments when you can, but do not let fear of judgment become a permanent prison. Your English future is bigger than someone's reaction. Your speaking growth is bigger than one awkward moment. Your voice is bigger than one mistake. A powerful mindset for the first sentence is this: my goal is not to impress, my goal is to express. When you try to impress, your brain becomes tense. You search for advanced words, you fear simple grammar, you compare yourself, you judge your accent. But when your goal is to express, your brain focuses on meaning. What do I want to say? What is the simple truth? What sentence can carry this meaning? Expression is lighter than performance. English speaking becomes easier when it stops being a performance. A conversation is not a stage where you must prove your worth. A conversation is a bridge where you share meaning. If you treat every English conversation like a performance, you will always feel nervous. If you treat it as communication, you can relax enough to speak. You may still make mistakes, but the conversation can continue. The other person does not need your perfect performance, they need your message. This is why meaning must come before for perfection. If your first sentence carries meaning, it has done its job. You can improve grammar later. You can choose a better word next time. You can refine pronunciation through practice. But in the moment, meaning is the heart. Speak the meaning. Let the sentence live. Another practical way to break the first sentence fear is to create a starter bank. This is a small list of phrases you will practice daily until your mouth can use them automatically. Your starter bank should include openings for opinions, explanations, uncertainty, agreement, disagreement, and repair. For opinions, I think, in my opinion, the way I see it, for me. For explanations, the reason is, what I mean is, let me explain. The main point is, for uncertainty, I'm not sure but, maybe, it depends on, I could be wrong but, for agreement, I agree because, that makes sense. I see what you mean. For disagreement, I understand your point but, I don't fully agree because, I see it differently. For repair, let me say that again. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, these starters are small keys that open many doors. Practice them with real ideas. Do not only repeat them alone. Attach meaning. I think daily practice is important. The reason is that speaking needs repetition. I'm not sure, but I think I need more confidence. I agree because mistakes help us learn. I don't fully agree because grammar is important, but speaking practice is also necessary. Let me say that again. I need to explain it more clearly. This type of practice trains the mouth to begin in many situations. When a real conversation appears, the brain has options. Options reduce panic. Panic reduces when the brain knows there is a way to start. Another important training is first sentence speed practice. Choose a question and answer with only the first sentence. Do not worry about the full answer. Train the opening. For example, ask yourself, why do you want to improve English? Answer quickly, I want to improve English because I want more confidence. Stop. Then repeat with another first sentence. I want to improve English because speaking can help my future. Stop. Then repeat again. I want to improve English because I understand a lot, but I need better speaking. This exercise is powerful because it removes the pressure of long answers. You only train the opening. The opening becomes easier. Once openings become easy, longer answers become less frightening. Many learners need this because they are afraid of the whole speech. But if you master the first sentence, the rest has a place to follow. Train the first sentence like an athlete trains the first movement. Fast access, clear meaning, simple structure, low fear. Repeat. Another important truth is that the first sentence should often be simple because simple sentences are easier to control under pressure. If someone asks, what do you think about learning English? Do not begin with a complicated answer if your brain is nervous. Begin with, I think learning English is very important. That sentence is clear. Then add, because it helps people communicate with confidence. Now the answer grows. Then add, for me, speaking is the hardest part because I sometimes translate too much. Now the answer becomes personal. This is natural expansion, simple beginning, clear reason, personal detail. If you practice this structure, you can answer many questions. First, give the main idea. Second, give the reason. Third, give an example or personal detail. This structure helps the mind stay organized. A disorganized mind freezes more easily. A simple structure gives direction. Direction gives confidence. Confidence helps the mouth move. For example, question, do you think grammar is important? Main idea, yes, I think grammar is important. Reason, because it helps us make clear sentences. Personal detail, but I also think speaking practice is necessary because grammar alone cannot make us fluent. Now you have a natural answer. It is not too complicated, but it communicates clearly. Question, why do people freeze when speaking English? Main idea, I think people freeze because they feel pressure. Reason, because they want every sentence to be perfect. Personal detail, I also feel this sometimes, but I am learning to speak slowly and continue. This is how you turn fear into speech. Another issue is that learners often practice English only when alone, but the first sentence becomes harder with real people. To solve this, you need gradual exposure. First, speak alone, then record yourself, then send a voice message to someone you trust, then practice with one patient person. Then speak in a small group, then try real conversations. Do not jump from silence to high-pressure speaking immediately if it overwhelms you. Build tolerance step by step. The nervous system learns through gradual exposure. If the challenge is too small forever, you do not grow. If the challenge is too big too soon, you panic. Choose the next small challenge. If speaking alone is easy, record. If recording becomes easy, share a voice note. If voice notes become easier, speak live with someone patient. This is how fear reduces without breaking confidence. You are not weak because you need steps. You are wise when you train with steps. A bridge is built piece by piece. Confidence is built proof by proof. Fluency is built sentence by sentence. Another powerful practice is to deliberately make and survive small imperfections. This may sound strange, but perfection pressure is often so strong that learners need to prove to themselves that mistakes are survivable. Say a sentence and continue even if it is not perfect. Use a simple word instead of the exact word. Restart a sentence calmly. This teaches the brain that imperfection does not equal danger. For example, say, yesterday I went to the market, you repaired it. The conversation did not end. Say, I don't know the exact word, but it is something we use for, you explained around it. The conversation continued. Say, let me say that again more clearly, you corrected yourself. The conversation stayed alive. This is freedom, not the freedom of never making mistakes, the freedom of not being destroyed by them. When you have this freedom, the first sentence becomes less scary because you know you can repair. If you believe one mistake ends everything, you will fear the first sentence. If you know you can repair, you will begin more easily. Recovery creates courage. The first sentence also becomes easier when your goal is connection instead of perfection. Look at the person, listen to the question, think about the meaning, respond like a human being, not like a grammar machine. If you focus only on language, you may forget the conversation. If you focus on communication, your English becomes more alive. For example, if someone asks, "How are you?" they usually do not need a perfect grammar performance, they need a human response. "I'm good, just a little tired today." This is enough. If someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" they need your reason. "I'm learning English because I want better opportunities." This is enough. If someone asks, "Do you understand?" they need honesty. "I understand a little, but can you explain again?" This is enough. Enough English spoken clearly is better than perfect English never spoken. This idea can save you from years of silence. Another key is to celebrate the first sentence, not only the perfect conversation. Many learners ignore small victories. They speak one sentence and immediately criticize the mistake. They answer one question and only notice the pause. They record 1 minute and only hear the accent. This destroys motivation. You must learn to recognize progress. If you spoke instead of staying silent, that is progress. If you started the sentence faster than before, that is progress. If you used a phrase you practiced, that is progress. If you continued after a mistake, that is progress. Progress deserves attention because attention tells the brain what to repeat. If you only notice failure, your brain feels defeated. If you notice effort, your brain feels encouraged. If you notice improvement, your brain wants to continue. This does not mean ignoring mistakes, it means seeing the full picture. Correct one thing, but also respect one victory. A balanced learner grows faster than a learner who only attacks themselves. For example, after speaking practice, say, "I started faster today, that is good. I paused too much in the middle, I will practice transitions tomorrow." This is healthy, you noticed progress and improvement. This is how a coach thinks. Become your own coach. The first sentence is also connected to your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who always freezes, your brain prepares to freeze. If you see yourself as someone learning to begin, your brain prepares to try. Your self-image does not change by lying, it changes by action. Every time you start speaking, you become less like the old identity and more like the new one. Say to yourself, "I am learning to start." This sentence is powerful because it does not demand perfection, it only demands movement. I am learning to start even when I am nervous. I am learning to speak slowly. I am learning to use simple English. I am learning to continue after mistakes. These identities are realistic and strong. A realistic identity is more powerful than fake confidence. Fake confidence says, "I speak perfectly." Real confidence says, "I can speak, make mistakes, and improve." Fake confidence breaks when mistakes happen. Real confidence survives mistakes because it expected growth. Build real confidence. Another important practice is visual rehearsal. Before a speaking situation, imagine the first sentence. Imagine someone asking a question. Imagine yourself taking a breath and saying a simple answer. Imagine yourself continuing. This mental rehearsal prepares the brain. Athletes do this. Speakers do this. Performers do this. English learners can do it too. If you have an interview, rehearse the first sentence. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to introduce myself. If you are meeting someone, rehearse, hi, nice to meet you. If you are joining a speaking practice, rehearse, I'm still learning, so I may speak slowly, but I want to practice. These rehearsed openings reduce shock. Your brain has already seen the moment. But rehearsal must become real speech. Do not only imagine. Say the first sentence out loud. Let your mouth practice it. Let your ears hear it. Let your body feel it. Then when the real moment comes, it will not feel completely new. The first sentence becomes powerful when it becomes familiar. Familiarity reduces fear. Repetition creates familiarity. Action creates proof. This is the whole system. You must also train yourself not to apologize too much for your English. Many learners begin with, sorry, my English is very bad, even before speaking. This weakens confidence. It tells your brain and the listener that you expect failure. You can be honest without insulting yourself. Instead of saying, my English is very bad, say, I'm still learning, so I may speak slowly. This is better. It is honest but confident. It gives context without shame. Do not introduce your English with self-attack. Introduce it with dignity. I'm still learning, but I'll try to explain. I may speak slowly, but I want to practice. I'm improving my English, so please give me a moment. These phrases protect your confidence and keep the door open. They also train your identity. You are not a helpless person with bad English. You are a learner in progress. That difference matters. The first sentence also needs emotional courage. Courage does not mean you feel no fear. Courage means you speak while fear is present. Many learners wait for fear to disappear completely, but fear may stay for a while. That is okay. You can speak with a fast heartbeat. You can speak with nervous hands. You can speak with imperfect grammar. You can speak slowly. You can speak and still be afraid. The more you do this, the more fear learns that it cannot control you. Fear becomes weaker when it is not obeyed every time. If fear says stay silent, and you speak one sentence, you have won a small battle. If fear says do not record your voice, and you record 1 minute, you have won a small battle. If fear says do not answer, and you answer simply, you have won a small battle. These small battles build the speaker inside you. Do not wait for one huge victory. Build many small victories. A fluent speaker is often the result of thousands of small moments where they chose to speak, repeat, continue, and return. The first sentence is one of those moments. Treat it with respect. Train it daily. A good daily exercise is the 10 first sentences practice. Choose 10 questions and answer only the first sentence for each. Do it quickly, clearly, and out loud. For example, how are you? I'm good, just a little busy today. What do you do? I work and I'm also improving my English. Why are you learning English? I'm learning English because I want more confidence. What is difficult? Speaking is difficult because I overthink. What do you want to improve? I want to improve my response speed. Continue like this. This exercise trains fast beginnings. It is not about long speaking yet. It is about breaking the freeze. If you do this every day, your brain becomes faster at opening, and once opening becomes easier, longer speaking becomes possible. Another daily exercise is the starter expansion practice. Take one starter and expand it into 5 different sentences. I think English is important. I think speaking practice is necessary. I think mistakes help us learn. I think confidence comes from action. I think daily practice can change your English. This trains flexibility. Your mouth learns the starter, and your brain learns to attach different meanings. Do this with the reason is. What I mean is, for me, I'm not sure, but in my experience, each starter becomes a speaking road. The more roads you build, the less likely you are to freeze. Another exercise is first sentence recording. Record only your first answer to a question. Stop, listen, repeat. Try to make the first sentence clearer, calmer, and more natural. This focused practice is powerful because it targets the exact moment where fear usually wins. If you improve the first sentence, you improve the entrance into conversation. The first sentence is the bridge from silence to speech. Strengthen it, respect it, practice it. Do not let it remain controlled by fear. As you train the first sentence, you will begin noticing that conversations feel less impossible. You may still feel nervous, but you will have tools. You may still pause, but you will know time phrases. You may still make mistakes, but you will know repair phrases. You may still speak simply, but you will understand that simple speech is movement. This changes everything because fear is strongest when you feel helpless. Tools reduce helplessness. A learner with no tools thinks, I do not know what to say. A learner with starters thinks, I can begin. A learner with time phrases thinks, I can give myself a moment. A learner with repair phrases thinks, I can continue after a mistake. A learner with simple patterns thinks, I can express the meaning. This is how the first sentence becomes less frightening. Remember, the goal is not to create a perfect first sentence every time. The goal is to become the kind of learner who starts. Starting is power. Starting breaks silence. Starting gives the brain proof. Starting opens the mouth. Starting creates the possibility of flow. The learner who starts imperfectly can improve. The learner who never starts remains stuck with silent potential. And silent potential is painful because it means the English is inside you, but your life cannot hear it. So train yourself to begin. Begin with a small phrase. Begin with a simple answer. Begin with a time phrase. Begin with I think. Begin with let me explain. Begin with I'm not sure but. Begin with the English you have. Do not wait for the English you wish you had. The English you have can begin the conversation, and the conversation can help you build the English you want. This is the mind-to-mouth path. Thought becomes starter. Starter becomes sentence. Sentence becomes movement. Movement becomes confidence. Confidence becomes fluency. And it all begins with the first sentence. The sentence does not have to be perfect. It has to be spoken. Because the moment you speak the first sentence, you are no longer only a learner thinking about English. You are a speaker building English through action. Chapter 5. Turn one thought into a natural English flow. One of the strongest signs of real English fluency is not only the ability to say one correct sentence, but the ability to take one small thought and continue speaking naturally around it. Because many learners can produce one sentence with effort, but after that sentence, the mind becomes empty again, the mouth slows down again, and the learner feels stuck because they do not know how to turn one idea into a flowing answer. This is why speaking often feels short, dry, and incomplete for English learners. They may answer a question with one sentence, but they cannot continue. Someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" and they say, "I want better future." Then silence comes. Someone asks, "What is difficult for you?" and they say, "Speaking is difficult." Then silence comes. Someone asks, "What do you think about daily practice?" and they say, "It is important." Then silence comes. The answers are not wrong, but they are too short because the learner has not trained the skill of expansion. Expansion is the art of growing one thought into more English. Expansion is the bridge between a short answer and natural speech. Expansion is what helps your mouth continue after the first sentence. The mind-to-mouth method teaches that your thoughts do not need to come out as perfect long speeches from the beginning. A natural answer can grow step by step. You begin with the main idea, then you add a reason, then you add a personal example, then you add a feeling, then you add a result, and suddenly one small thought becomes a clear spoken answer. This is not complicated when you train it correctly. It is a pattern, and like every pattern, it can become natural through repetition. Many learners fail to speak longer because they try to create the whole answer at once. They want the complete paragraph before opening their mouth. They want all the words ready. They want the grammar checked. They want the sentence order perfect. They want the ending prepared. But real speaking does not always work like a written script. In real speaking, you often build as you go. You start with a simple idea, and the next idea appears because the first sentence created movement. This is a powerful truth. Speech creates more speech. When you remain silent, the brain has nothing to build on. But when you say the first simple sentence, the brain receives direction, the mouth begins moving, the nervous system relaxes slightly, the next phrase becomes easier. This is why starting matters so much. But after starting, you need expansion tools so the answer does not die too quickly. The first expansion tool is reason. Reason answers the question why. If you say, "I want to improve my English," add the reason, "because I want to speak confidently." Now the sentence becomes stronger. If you say, "Speaking is difficult," add the reason, "because I translate too much in my mind." Now the listener understands more. If you say daily practice is important, add the reason, "because the brain learns through repetition." Now your answer has depth. Reason is powerful because it forces your thought to continue. It stops your English from ending too early. It gives your brain a simple direction. You do not need advanced vocabulary to add a reason. You only need the word because and a clear meaning. I am learning English because I want better opportunities. I feel nervous because I am afraid of mistakes. I practice every day because I want my speaking to become natural. I repeat useful sentences because repetition builds confidence. I speak slowly because I want to be clear. These sentences are simple, but they create flow. The word because is one of the most powerful words for English learners because it turns a short sentence into an explanation. It gives your mouth more time. It gives your listener more meaning. It gives your brain a path to continue. The second expansion tool is example. Example answers the question, what do you mean? If you say speaking is difficult, add an example. For example, when someone asks me a question, I understand it, but my answer comes late. Now your answer becomes real. If you say, I need more practice, add an example. For example, I should answer common questions out loud every day. Now the idea becomes practical. If you say, translation makes me slow, add an example. For example, I first think in my own language, then I try to change the sentence into English, and by that time I lose confidence. Examples make your English sound more natural because real speakers often explain ideas through examples. Examples also reduce pressure because you do not need new deep ideas, you only need to show one situation. A simple example can turn a weak answer into a strong answer. For example, if someone asks, why is English speaking hard for many learners? You can answer, I think English speaking is hard because many learners understand English, but they do not practice speaking enough. For example, they watch videos every day, but they do not answer questions out loud, so their mind improves, but their mouth stays slow. That answer is clear because it has a main idea, a reason, and an example. You can use this structure again and again. Main idea, reason, example. This simple structure can create thousands of natural answers. The third expansion tool is personal experience. Personal experience answers the question, how does this connect to you? Many learners speak in general sentences, but their answers become more powerful when they add personal truth. If you say speaking practice is important, add personal experience. I notice that when I speak out loud, I feel more confident. If you say translation makes speaking slow, add personal experience. This happens to me when I try to answer quickly. If you say, I want to improve English, add personal experience. I can understand many things, but I want my mouth to respond faster. Personal experience makes your English sound alive. It shows that you are not only repeating memorized sentences, you are expressing yourself. This is important because the real purpose of English is not only to produce correct sentences. The real purpose is to express your life, your thoughts, your struggles, your opinions, and your goals. A learner who speaks with personal experience sounds more natural than a learner who only repeats textbook lines. You do not need complicated personal stories. Small personal details are enough. For me, speaking is harder than listening. In my experience, repetition helps a lot. I notice that I speak better when I am calm. Sometimes I know the answer, but I cannot say it quickly. I feel more confident when I practice before speaking. These personal phrases help you continue. They also build connection with the listener because people listen more deeply when they hear real experience. The fourth expansion tool is contrast. Contrast answers the question, what is the difference? Contrast helps your answer become more interesting. You can use words like but, however, at the same time, and on the other hand. Many learners speak in one direction only, so their answers feel flat. Contrast adds balance and depth. For example, you can say, grammar is important, but speaking practice is also necessary. This sentence is stronger than simply saying, grammar is important. You can say, I understand English when I listen, but I struggle when I have to answer quickly. This sentence explains the gap clearly. You can say, I want to speak fast, but first I need to speak clearly. This sentence shows maturity. Contrast is powerful because real life is not always one-sided. English learning has many contrasts. You may understand but not speak. You may know words but not use them. You may want confidence but avoid practice. You may study grammar but still freeze. When you learn to express contrast, your English becomes more natural and thoughtful. Use contrast patterns often. I understand the lesson, but I need more practice. I know many words, but I cannot use them quickly. I want to speak naturally, but I still translate too much. I feel nervous, but I will try. My English is not perfect, but I am improving. These sentences are simple, but they carry real meaning. They help you express struggle and progress at the same time. This is important because learners often feel only weakness. Contrast helps you speak honestly without destroying your confidence. The fifth expansion tool is result. Result answers the question, what happens because of this? Use phrases like so, that is why, because of that, and as a result. Result helps you connect cause and effect. If you say, I translate too much, add the result, so my answer becomes slow. If you say, I practice every day, add the result, so my confidence is growing. If you say, I do not speak out loud, add the result, that is why my mouth feels uncomfortable with English. Result creates logic. It makes your speech organized. It helps the listener follow your thinking. For example, you can say, many learners only study silently so their understanding improves, but their speaking stays weak. This sentence shows cause and result. You can say, I repeat useful patterns every day so my mouth becomes more familiar with English. This sentence explains the effect of practice. You can say, I used to wait for perfect grammar, and because of that, I stayed silent for too long. This sentence tells a mini story. Result phrases are especially powerful in audiobook-style speaking because they create a strong flow of ideas. They make your answer feel connected instead of broken. The sixth expansion tool is solution. Solution answers the question, what should be done? If you describe a problem, your answer becomes stronger when you add a solution. If you say, I translate too much, add a solution. I should practice simple direct sentences every day. If you say, I freeze when speaking, add a solution. I should train sentence starters like I think and let me explain. If you say, my mouth feels slow, add a solution. I need to speak out loud more often. Solution gives your English power because it moves from complaint to action. Many learners keep talking about the problem, but they do not train the language of solution. A strong speaker can explain the problem and then say what must happen next. Use solution patterns like, the best way is, I should, I need to. One thing that can help is, the solution is to, for this reason, I must. These patterns help you speak like someone who is active, not helpless. For example, my biggest problem is that I understand English, but I cannot speak quickly. The best way to improve this is to practice answering common questions out loud every day. This is a strong answer because it includes problem and solution. Another example, sometimes I freeze because I worry about mistakes. One thing that can help is speaking slowly and using simple sentence starters. This answer is natural, honest, and practical. The seventh expansion tool is feeling. Feeling answers the question, how does this affect you emotionally? English becomes more human when you express feeling. Many learners only speak facts, but real conversation includes emotions. You may say, I want to speak English, but the answer becomes deeper if you add feeling. I want to speak English because I feel limited when I cannot express myself. You may say, I practice every day, but it becomes stronger if you add, and that makes me feel more confident. You may say, I make mistakes, but it becomes more human if you add, and sometimes that makes me nervous, but I know mistakes are part of learning. Feeling creates connection. It turns English from mechanical speech into real communication. Practice feelings with simple sentences. I feel nervous when I speak with new people. I feel proud when I can answer in English. I feel frustrated when I know the answer but cannot say it. I feel motivated when I notice small progress. I feel more confident when I speak every day. These sentences matter because English is not only for information. English is for human experience. If you want natural speech, you must learn to express what is happening inside you. Now imagine combining all these expansion tools into one answer. Someone asks, why do you want to improve your English speaking? A short answer is, I want better opportunities. That is okay, but it ends quickly. Now expand it. I want to improve my English speaking because I want better opportunities in my future. For example, I want to communicate with more people, understand English content easily, and express myself with confidence. I can understand many things, but when I try to speak, I sometimes translate too much, so my answer becomes slow. That is why I need to practice speaking out loud every day. I feel nervous sometimes, but I also feel motivated because I know every sentence is training my mind-to-mouth bridge. This answer is not made from difficult English, it is made from expansion. Main idea, reason. Example, personal experience, contrast, result, solution, feeling. This is how one thought becomes natural speech. You do not need to use every tool in every answer. That would sound too heavy. But when you know these tools, your brain has options. If your answer feels short, add a reason. If it feels unclear, add an example. If it feels general, add personal experience. If it feels flat, add contrast. If it feels disconnected, add result. If it feels negative, add solution. If it feels robotic, add feeling. These tools give your English life. Many learners think longer speaking requires advanced vocabulary, but often longer speaking requires better structure. You may already know enough words to speak longer, but you do not know how to connect your ideas. Expansion tools give connection. They show your brain where to go next. Without connection, one sentence ends and silence begins. With connection, one sentence leads to another. This is the difference between broken speech and flowing speech. Broken speech says one idea and stops. Flowing speech connects ideas with reason, example, feeling, and result. The good news is that flow can be trained. It is not magic. It is not talent. It is not only for native speakers. It is a skill, and skills grow through practice. One powerful practice is the one thought, 5 sentences exercise. Take one simple thought and force it to become 5 connected sentences. Do not worry about perfection. Focus on expansion. Thought, I want to speak English naturally. Sentence 1, I want to speak English naturally. Sentence 2, I want this because I do not want to translate every sentence in my head. Sentence 3, for example, when someone asks me a question, I want my answer to come faster. Sentence 4, sometimes I feel nervous, but I know practice can make me more confident. Sentence 5, that is why I need to speak out loud every day and train my mind-to-mouth bridge. Now you have a natural mini speech. It uses simple English, but it communicates clearly. If you practice this daily with different thoughts, your speaking will become longer and smoother. Thought, grammar is important. Sentence 1, grammar is important. Sentence 2, it is important because it helps us make clear sentences. Sentence 3, but grammar alone is not enough for speaking. Sentence 4, for example, many learners know grammar rules, but they still freeze in conversation. Sentence 5, that is why grammar should be practiced through real speaking patterns. Again, one thought becomes a strong explanation. Thought, I feel nervous when speaking English. Sentence 1, I feel nervous when speaking English. Sentence 2, I feel nervous because I worry about mistakes. Sentence 3, sometimes I know the answer but my mouth becomes slow. Sentence 4, however, I can reduce this fear by speaking slowly and using simple starters. Sentence 5, every time I speak, I give my brain proof that English is safe. This is not only English practice, this is confidence training. The one thought 5 sentences exercise is powerful because it trains expansion without overwhelming you. You do not need to speak for 10 minutes. You only need to grow one thought. Over time, 5 sentences become 7, 7 become 10, 10 become a full explanation. This is how fluency grows. Another powerful practice is the because chain. Start with one sentence and keep adding because or reason connections. I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently. I want to speak confidently because I want to express myself clearly. I want to express myself clearly because I do not want my thoughts to stay trapped. I do not want my thoughts to stay trapped because I know I have ideas worth sharing. This exercise builds deeper thinking in English. It trains your brain to follow reasons instead of stopping after one sentence. It also connects English with emotion and purpose. Another practice is the example chain. Speaking practice is important. For example, when I answer questions out loud, my mouth becomes more comfortable. For example, when I record my voice, I notice my mistakes. For example, when I repeat sentence patterns, my response becomes faster. For example, when I practice every day, my confidence grows. This exercise teaches your brain to support ideas with examples. Examples make speaking easier because you can always describe a real situation. Another practice is the problem-solution flow. Problem. I translate too much. Effect. Because of that, my answer becomes slow. Feeling. This makes me feel nervous. Solution. I need to practice direct English sentences. Action. Today, I will answer 5 questions out loud. This structure is extremely useful for learners because many English conversations involve explaining problems and solutions. If you master this flow, you can speak about your learning, work, daily life, goals, and challenges more naturally. Another practice is the past, present, future expansion. Take one topic and speak about how it was before, how it is now, and how you want it to be in the future. Topic: English speaking. Past: before, I was afraid to speak English because I worried about mistakes. Present: now, I am practicing every day and trying to speak more directly. Future: in the future, I want to speak naturally without freezing. This structure helps you create longer answers because time gives your brain direction. You are not searching randomly. You are moving through past, present, and future. For example, with confidence, before I did not feel confident when speaking English. Now I feel a little better because I practice out loud and use simple sentence patterns. In the future, I want to speak with calm confidence in real conversations. This is simple, but it sounds natural. It tells a small story. Stories are powerful because human communication loves movement through time. Another practice is the opinion, reason, example structure. This is one of the most useful structures for speaking. Opinion: I think daily practice is more important than long study sessions. Reason: because the brain learns better when English appears every day. Example: for example, speaking for 10 minutes every day can build more confidence than studying silently for 2 hours once a week. This structure can help you answer many questions. If someone asks, "Do you think grammar is important?" you can say, "Yes, I think grammar is important because it helps us speak clearly." For example, when we understand sentence structure, we can express our ideas better. If someone asks, "Do you think mistakes are bad?" you can say, "No, I think mistakes are part of learning because they show us what to improve." For example, when I record my voice, I can notice mistakes and correct them. This is how you speak with clarity, not by memorizing full answers, by mastering structures. Structures are the hidden engine of fluent speech. Another important part of natural flow is learning to use connectors. Connectors are words and phrases that join ideas. Without connectors, your speech feels like separate stones. With connectors, your speech feels like a road. Useful connectors include because, so, but, also, for example, that is why, at the same time, in my experience, the main point is, however, as a result, and in simple words. Do not memorize connectors only as a list. Use them in real sentences. I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently. I translate too much so my answer becomes slow. I know many words, but I cannot use them quickly. I practice speaking every day. Also, I listen to English content. Speaking is difficult for many learners. For example, they may understand English but freeze when answering. I want better opportunities. That is why I am learning English. I make mistakes sometimes. At the same time, I know mistakes help me improve. In my experience, speaking out loud is very important. The main point is, English must move from the mind to the mouth. These connectors create flow. They help your listener follow your thinking. They also help you continue because each connector tells your brain what kind of idea comes next. Because asks for a reason. For example asks for an example. But asks for contrast. So asks for result. Also asks for another point. Connectors are not decoration. They are direction. They guide the mind while speaking. Another reason learners cannot speak longer is that they try to avoid pauses completely. They think pauses are bad, but pauses are natural. Fluent speakers pause. Teachers pause. Speakers pause. Native speakers pause. A pause is not failure if you use it calmly. What matters is what you do after the pause. Do you panic and stop, or do you continue? Learn to use thinking phrases around pauses. Let me think. How can I explain this? The main idea is. What I mean is. These phrases turn pauses into natural speech. They show that you are thinking, not freezing. They help the mouth stay connected to the conversation while the brain prepares the next idea. For example, if you are answering a question and need a moment, say, "Let me think for a second." The main idea is that speaking needs practice, not only study. This is much better than silent panic. You gave yourself time and you continued. Natural flow does not mean speaking without stopping. Natural flow means knowing how to continue after stopping. This is a very important difference. If you believe fluency means no pauses, you will fear every pause. But if you understand that pauses are part of speaking, you will use them wisely. The goal is not to remove every pause. The goal is to keep communication alive. Another powerful flow skill is rephrasing. Rephrasing means saying the same idea in a different way. This is useful when your first sentence is unclear or too short. You can use phrases like, "In other words, what I mean is," to say it simply, and "let me explain it another way." For example, translation makes speaking slow. In other words, when I translate every sentence, my answer comes late. Now the idea is clearer. Another example, I need active practice. What I mean is, I need to speak out loud, not only listen. This helps you expand and clarify. Rephrasing is powerful because it gives you more speech without needing a new topic. You take the same idea and explain it again. Fluent speakers do this often. They do not always jump to new ideas. Sometimes they repeat the same idea with different words to make it clearer. Learners can use this too. If your answer feels too short, rephrase. If your sentence feels unclear, rephrase. If you need more time, rephrase. If you want to sound more natural, rephrase. Rephrasing turns one thought into a fuller explanation. Another flow skill is giving a small story. Stories are one of the easiest ways to speak longer because they follow a natural order. Beginning, problem, action, result. You do not need dramatic stories. Everyday stories are enough. For example, before I used to study English silently. I watched many videos and understood a lot, but when I tried to speak, I froze. Then I realized that I needed to practice out loud. Now I record my voice and answer questions every day, and I feel a little more confident. This small story is powerful because it has movement. It shows past struggle, realization, action, and progress. You can use this structure for many topics. Before, I had a problem. Then I learned something. Now I am practicing. Slowly, I am improving. This story structure is perfect for English learning videos, interviews, conversations, and self-expression. Another example, before I thought grammar was enough for speaking. I studied many rules, but I still could not answer quickly. Then I started practicing sentence patterns out loud. Now I understand that grammar is important, but speaking practice is what makes English active. This is natural, clear, and meaningful. Stories help because the brain loves sequence. When you tell a story, you do not need to invent random points. You simply follow what happened. This reduces pressure and creates longer speech. Another important principle is that natural flow comes from familiar topics first. Do not expect yourself to speak fluently about every topic immediately. Start with topics that belong to your life, your English journey, your daily routine, your work, your goals, your challenges, your family, your hobbies, your opinions about learning. These topics are easier because your brain already has meaning. You only need to train the English. If you practice familiar topics deeply, your speaking confidence grows. Then you can move to new topics. Many learners jump to difficult topics too early and feel discouraged, but fluency grows from known to unknown. Train familiar topics until your mouth becomes comfortable, then expand. Choose one topic and speak about it many times. This is called topic recycling. For example, speak about my English journey today for 1 minute. Tomorrow, speak about it again with more detail. The next day, add examples. The next day, add feelings. The next day, add past, present, future. After several repetitions, the topic becomes easy. Your answer becomes smoother. Your confidence grows. Do not be afraid of repeating the same topic. Repetition is how the brain takes ownership. A speaker who can explain the same idea several ways becomes stronger than a learner who touches many topics once and owns none. Depth creates fluency. Repeated use creates readiness. Another powerful exercise is same idea, different audience. Explain one thought as if you are speaking to a friend, then explain it as if you are speaking to a teacher, then explain it as if you are encouraging another learner. This trains flexibility. Thought. Speaking needs practice. To a friend, I think we need to speak more if we want to improve. To a teacher, in my opinion, speaking practice is necessary because it activates passive knowledge. To another learner, do not only listen and read, speak out loud every day because your mouth needs training too. This exercise teaches your brain to adjust language for different situations. Natural speakers do this automatically. You can train it step by step. Another key to flow is not stopping when you forget a word. Many learners lose the whole answer because one word disappears. But if you know how to explain around missing words, you can continue. This is called circumlocution. It means using other words to explain the meaning. If you forget confidence, say the feeling that I can do something. If you forget fluency, say speaking smoothly without too much delay. If you forget pronunciation, say the way we say words. If you forget vocabulary, say the words we know and use. This keeps speech alive. Forgetting words is normal. The problem is not forgetting. The problem is stopping completely. Train your brain to continue with available English. This creates freedom. You realize you do not need every exact word to communicate. You can still express meaning. And when the fear of missing words becomes smaller, speaking becomes easier. Another natural flow skill is asking yourself silent, guiding questions while speaking. If your answer stops, ask internally, why? For example, how did I feel? What happened next? What is the result? What is the solution? These questions help the brain find the next sentence. For example, you say, I want to improve my speaking. Then your brain asks, why? You answer, because I want to communicate confidently. Then it asks, for example? You answer, for example, when someone asks me a question, I want to answer without freezing. Then it asks, how do I feel? You answer, I feel nervous sometimes, but I am improving. Now you have flow. Guiding questions are like invisible helpers inside your mind. They prevent silence. They create direction. They help one thought become many sentences. Another important idea is that speaking longer does not mean speaking without structure. Some learners try to speak more, but their ideas become messy. They jump from one point to another without connection. This can make them feel less confident. Structure solves this. Use simple structures like point, reason, example, problem, effect, solution, past, present, future, opinion, contrast, conclusion, feeling, reason, action. These structures give your speech shape. Shape makes speaking easier for you and easier for the listener. When your mind has structure, it does not panic as much because it knows where to go. For example, using problem, effect, solution. My problem is that I translate too much when I speak. Because of that, my answer becomes slow and I lose confidence. The solution is to practice direct English sentences every day and train my mouth to speak out loud. This is clear and strong. Using feeling, reason, action. I feel nervous when I speak English because I worry about mistakes, but I know fear becomes weaker through practice, so I am trying to speak every day, even if my English is not perfect. This sounds natural and powerful. Using past, present, future. Before, I only studied English silently. Now, I am practicing speaking out loud and using sentence patterns. In the future, I want to speak naturally without translating too much. This is easy to remember and useful in many situations. The more structures you practice, the more your thoughts can flow. You are not memorizing full scripts. You are memorizing roads. Roads help you travel with different ideas. Another challenge is that learners often think they need new ideas to keep speaking, but sometimes they only need to deepen the same idea. Depth is not always a new point. Depth can be more explanation, clearer example, stronger feeling, or better detail. If you say speaking is difficult, do not rush to a new topic. Stay with the idea. Why is it difficult? When is it difficult? How does it feel? What helps? What are you doing to improve? This one idea can become a full answer. Speaking is difficult for me because I translate too much in my mind. This usually happens when someone asks me a question suddenly. I understand the question, but my answer comes late because I am trying to choose the perfect words. It feels frustrating because I know more English than I can speak. To improve this, I am practicing simple answers out loud every day. This answer comes from one idea, but it feels complete because the idea was developed. This is what you must train. Do not run away from your ideas too quickly. Develop them, explain them, give them space. Another powerful flow method is add one more sentence. When you think your answer is finished, add one more sentence. This trains your brain to continue beyond the first stop. If you say, I want to speak English confidently, add one more sentence. This is important because confidence can help me communicate with more people. Then add one more. I know it will take time, but I am ready to practice. This simple habit expands speech gradually. Use this during practice. After every answer, ask, can I add one more sentence? It does not have to be perfect. It only has to continue the meaning. Over time, your brain learns that silence is not the only option after one sentence. It learns to search for more. Another essential skill is ending your answer naturally. Some learners can start, but they do not know how to finish. They continue until they get lost, or they stop suddenly. Ending phrases help. Use phrases like, "That is the main reason," "That is why I think practice is important." So for me, the goal is to keep improving. In simple words, I need more speaking practice, or that is what I am trying to build. Endings give closure. They make your speech sound organized. They also give you confidence because you know how to finish without awkward silence. For example, I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently in real conversations. Sometimes I understand the question, but I cannot answer quickly. That is why I am practicing out loud every day. In simple words, I want my thoughts to reach my mouth faster. This ending is strong because it returns to the main idea. A natural answer needs a beginning, movement, and ending. Starters help beginning. Expansion tools help movement. Ending phrases help closure. Together they create flow. Another thing that helps flow is speaking from meaning, not memorized text. Memorized answers can be useful at first, but if you depend only on memorization, you may freeze when the question changes. Meaning-based speaking is more flexible. Instead of memorizing one full paragraph, remember the main points and speak them in your own words. This allows your English to adjust. For example, instead of memorizing a full answer about your English journey, remember the points. I understand English. Speaking is hard. Translation slows me down. I practice out loud. I want confidence. Then speak those points naturally. The words may change each time, but the meaning stays. This builds real speaking ability. Memorization gives safety. Meaning-based speaking gives freedom. You can use both, but do not stay trapped in memorization. Use memorized patterns as support. Then learn to express your own meaning. Another reason flow breaks is that learners translate long native language thoughts. Their original idea is too complex for their current English level, so the sentence collapses. The solution is not to stop having deep thoughts. The solution is to simplify the thought in English first. Say the core meaning, then expand with simple tools. This is how your English grows without breaking. If your native thought is very deep, ask, "What is the main idea in simple English?" Start there. If the main idea is, "I feel limited because my English cannot express my personality," say, "I feel limited in English." Then add, "Because I cannot express myself fully." Then add, "In my own language, I can explain my thoughts easily, but in English, I sometimes feel like my voice is smaller." This is beautiful because it is direct and honest, not word-by-word translation. Your English does not need to copy your native language exactly. It needs to carry your meaning clearly. This is the real goal. Another useful exercise is explain it to a child. Take a difficult idea and explain it very simply. This trains clarity. If you can explain something simply, you truly understand it. For example, explain fluency. Fluency means you can speak smoothly and people can understand you without too much difficulty. Explain translation. Translation means changing words or meaning from one language to another. Explain confidence. Confidence means you feel able to try even if you are not perfect. This exercise removes pressure to sound advanced. It teaches your brain to value clarity. Clear English is powerful English. Many learners try to sound advanced and become confusing, but if you can explain clearly, people will understand you, and understanding is the heart of communication. Another exercise is teach what you learn. After learning a phrase or idea, explain it out loud as if teaching another learner. Teaching forces your brain to organize thoughts. It also builds confidence because you are not only receiving English, you are producing English. For example, after learning about sentence starters, say, "Sentence starters help us begin speaking when we feel nervous." For example, we can use "I think," "Let me explain," or "What I mean is." These phrases give our brain a road, so we do not freeze at the beginning. This is excellent speaking practice because it uses explanation, example, and result. It turns learning into active speech. Another important part of flow is accepting that your answer can be simple but still complete. A complete answer does not always need advanced English. It needs a clear idea, enough support, and a natural ending. For example, I think speaking practice is very important because English becomes natural through use. Many learners only listen and read, but they do not speak enough. That is why their understanding improves, but their speaking stays slow. For me, the best way is to practice out loud every day. This is complete. It is not overly complex, but it is strong. Completeness comes from structure, not difficulty. A simple, structured answer often sounds better than a complicated, messy answer. Do not chase complexity before clarity. Clarity first. Flow second, complexity later. Another key is to practice with real questions, not only random speaking. Questions create natural direction. If you want to speak longer, collect questions that match your life. Why are you learning English? What is your biggest English problem? How do you practice speaking? What makes you nervous? What helps you improve? Why is thinking in English important? How can learners stop translating? Answer these questions repeatedly using expansion tools. For each question, build a strong answer with this formula: short answer, reason, example, personal detail, solution. You do not need to write it every time. Speak it out loud. Let it become natural. Repeat the same question over several days until your answer improves. For example, how can learners stop translating? Answer: learners can stop translating by practicing direct English sentences every day. The reason is that the brain needs a shorter road from meaning to speech. For example, instead of thinking in their own language first, they can say simple sentences like "I need water," "I feel tired," or "I do not understand." In my experience, simple direct practice is powerful because it makes English feel closer to real life. The best solution is to practice small English thoughts daily and then speak them out loud. This answer is clear, useful, and natural. It is built from simple tools. Another way to improve flow is to repeat the same answer in different lengths. Say it in 10 seconds, then 30 seconds, then 1 minute. This trains control. Question: why do you practice English? 10 seconds. I practice English because I want to speak confidently and improve my future. 30 seconds. I practice English because I want to speak confidently. I can understand many things, but speaking is still difficult for me because I sometimes translate too much. Daily practice helps me train my mouth and build confidence. 1 minute, add examples, feelings, and solution. This exercise teaches your brain to adjust. Sometimes real conversations need short answers, sometimes they need more detail. A flexible speaker can do both. Flexibility is a sign of fluency. Another powerful habit is to listen to your own answers and ask, where can I add flow? Maybe you need a reason, maybe you need an example, maybe your ideas are disconnected, maybe you need an ending phrase. This self-awareness improves speaking faster. Do not only judge your accent, listen for structure, listen for movement, listen for clarity. When you record yourself, ask, did I begin clearly? Did I give a reason? Did I add an example? Did I connect ideas? Did I end naturally? Did I continue after mistakes? These questions turn recording into training. Without awareness, repetition may repeat the same weakness. With awareness, repetition becomes improvement. Another important part of flow is energy. Natural speech has energy. It does not mean you must shout. It means your voice carries meaning. When you speak in a flat, dead voice, your brain may not feel connected to the words. Try speaking with intention. If the sentence is about a problem, let the voice show seriousness. If the sentence is about hope, let the voice show hope. If the sentence is about confidence, let the voice sound confident. For example, say, I am building my speaking confidence. Say it like a fact, say it like a promise, say it like you believe it. This trains not only pronunciation but identity. Your voice becomes part of your learning. English is not only grammar and words. English is voice. Voice carries meaning. Voice carries emotion. Voice carries identity. The mind-to-mouth method wants your English to become a voice, not only a memory. A memory can stay silent. A voice can reach people. This is why flow matters. Flow is not only speaking longer. Flow is allowing your meaning to travel. Flow is when your thought does not die after one sentence. Flow is when your answer has direction. Flow is when your mouth continues because your brain has tools. Flow is when English begins to feel less like pieces and more like movement. At first, your flow may be slow. That is fine. Natural flow begins slowly. You may pause. You may repeat words. You may use simple connectors. You may say because many times. That is okay. You are building. Over time, your flow becomes smoother. Your connectors become more natural. Your examples become clearer. Your thoughts become more organized. Your confidence becomes stronger. Do not expect perfect flow immediately. Train the next sentence, then the next, then the next. Fluency is not one giant jump. It is many connected steps. A powerful speaker is not someone who never pauses. A powerful speaker is someone who knows how to continue. A powerful learner is not someone who knows every word. A powerful learner knows how to use available English to carry meaning. A powerful answer is not always advanced. A powerful answer is clear, connected, honest, and alive. So when you practice, do not only ask, "Is my sentence correct?" Ask, "Can I continue?" Ask, "Can I add a reason?" Ask, "Can I give an example?" Ask, "Can I connect this to my life?" Ask, "Can I explain the result?" Ask, "Can I end clearly?" These questions will stretch your speaking ability. The English inside your mind wants movement. It does not want to stay trapped in one sentence. Your thoughts have more to say. Your experience has more to express. Your goals have more meaning. Your voice has more power. But you must train the road from one thought to natural speech. The road begins with one simple sentence, then reason, then example, then personal experience, then contrast, then result, then solution, then feeling, then ending. This is the path from short answers to real expression. You do not need to use every step every time, but you must practice them enough that your brain knows they are available. When your brain has expansion tools, speaking becomes less frightening. You no longer feel that one sentence is all you have. You know how to grow the answer, you know how to continue, you know how to explain, you know how to repair, you know how to finish. This gives you confidence, and confidence gives your voice more space. One day, someone will ask you a question, and instead of giving one small answer and falling into silence, you will begin with a simple sentence, add a reason, give an example, connect it to your experience, and finish with confidence. You may still make mistakes, but your English will move. Your mouth will no longer feel completely locked. Your thoughts will no longer feel completely trapped. Your voice will begin to carry more of who you are. That is the power of turning one thought into natural flow. It is not about speaking perfectly. It is about speaking beyond the first sentence. It is about giving your ideas room to breathe. It is about training your mouth to continue. It is about building a bridge strong enough for real expression. Because the learner who can only say one sentence may still feel trapped, but the learner who can grow one thought into natural English begins to feel free. And English freedom begins when your thoughts no longer stop at the edge of your mouth, but move forward, sentence by sentence, with courage, clarity, and life. Chapter 6. Build the speaking reflex that answers before fear takes over. There is a level of English speaking where the learner no longer feels that every sentence must be pulled out of the mind with force, where the mouth no longer waits for a perfect translation, where common answers no longer feel like heavy work, and where the brain begins to respond with English before fear has enough time to block the voice. This level is not magic, talent, luck, or something only special learners can reach. This level is called speaking reflex. And speaking reflex is created when useful English becomes so familiar that your mouth can use it quickly, calmly, and naturally in real moments. A speaking reflex means that when someone asks, "How are you?" your brain does not treat the question like a new exam. It answers with something simple and alive, such as, "I'm good, just a little busy today." A speaking reflex means that when someone asks, "What do you think?" your mouth does not wait for a perfect paragraph. It begins with, "I think it depends on the situation." A speaking reflex means that when you forget a word, you do not collapse into silence. You say, "I forgot the exact word, but I can explain it another way." A speaking reflex means that English is no longer only knowledge inside your mind. English becomes action inside your voice. Most learners want fluent English, but they train English like information instead of reflex. They watch lessons, understand explanations, write vocabulary, memorize rules, and feel that they are learning, but when real conversation begins, their brain has no automatic response. This happens because information does not automatically become reflex. A sentence you understand is not always a sentence you can speak. A word you recognize is not always a word you can use. A grammar rule you remember is not always a pattern your mouth can produce under pressure. Reflex is built when English is repeated, spoken, connected to life, and used again and again until the brain trusts it. Think about any skill you already do naturally. You do not think deeply before walking. You do not analyze every finger movement when typing a familiar word. You do not plan every tiny motion when brushing your teeth. These actions became automatic because they were repeated thousands of times. Your body learned the movement. Your brain learned the pattern. The action became easier because repetition built a pathway. Speaking English follows the same law. If you want English to come out naturally, the mouth must repeat useful English until it stops feeling strange. Many learners misunderstand repetition. They think repetition is boring, weak, or childish. They want new words every day, new lessons every day, new grammar every day, and new topics every day. New learning feels exciting because it gives the feeling of progress, but real fluency often comes from deep repetition of useful language. The sentence you repeat today becomes easier tomorrow. The pattern you practice this week becomes faster next month. The answer you say out loud 10 times becomes available when someone asks you in real life. Repetition is not punishment. Repetition is the gym where your speaking reflex becomes strong. The problem is that many learners repeat English only with their eyes and ears, but not with their voice. They see a phrase many times and think they know it. They hear a sentence many times and think it belongs to them, but until the mouth has used it, the phrase is not fully active. The mouth needs its own memory, the tongue needs its own confidence, the voice needs its own familiarity. Your mind may say, "I know this sentence," but your mouth may say, "I have never practiced this movement enough." That is why the mind-to-mouth method trains spoken repetition, not silent recognition only. A speaking reflex begins with core sentences. Core sentences are the sentences you need again and again in real life. These are not random textbook sentences. These are sentences that help you introduce yourself, explain your goals, ask for help, share opinions, handle mistakes, talk about your feelings, and continue conversations. If these core sentences become automatic, your speaking confidence will grow quickly because many conversations are built from repeated situations. You do not need to master every possible sentence before you speak. You need to make your most useful sentences ready. For example, a learner should have ready sentences like, "I'm still learning, so I may speak slowly. I want to improve my speaking because I want more confidence. I understand English, but I need more practice speaking. Can you explain that again? Let me think for a moment. What I mean is, I don't know the exact word, but I can explain it. I agree with you because I don't fully agree because, in my experience." These sentences are powerful because they solve real speaking problems. They help you begin, continue, repair, explain, and survive nervous moments. A speaking reflex is not built by memorizing these sentences once, it is built by speaking them many times in different ways. Take the sentence, "I'm still learning, so I may speak slowly." Say it naturally, say it with confidence, say it as if you are talking to a real person. Then change it. "I'm still learning, so I need a little time. I'm still learning, but I want to try. I'm still learning, and I'm improving every day." This kind of variation makes the sentence flexible. Your brain does not only memorize one fixed line, it learns a pattern that can change with the situation. This is the difference between dead memorization and living reflex. Dead memorization gives you one sentence that may disappear if the situation changes. Living reflex gives you a pattern you can adjust. If you memorize only "I want to improve my English," you may say it once. But if you train the pattern "I want to," you can say "I want to speak more clearly," "I want to answer faster," "I want to build confidence," "I want to stop translating," "I want to express myself better." Now your brain has a speaking tool, not only one sentence. Patterns create reflex because they reduce the mental work of speaking. Without patterns, your brain must build every sentence from zero. It must search for words, decide the order, check the grammar, and control fear all at the same time. With patterns, the beginning is ready, the structure is familiar, and the brain only adds meaning. This is why fluent speakers sound fast. They are not inventing every sentence from nothing. They are using thousands of familiar patterns that their mouth has already practiced. If you want speaking reflex, choose patterns that match your life. I want to, I need to, I'm trying to, I feel, I think. The reason is, what I mean is, it depends on, I'm not sure, but in my experience, the main point is, one thing I noticed is, these patterns are like roads. The more you walk on them, the smoother they become. The smoother they become, the faster your thoughts can travel through them. One of the best exercises for building speaking reflex is the 5-way pattern drill. Choose one pattern and create 5 personal sentences with it. For example, choose "I'm trying to" and say "I'm trying to speak English more naturally." I'm trying to stop translating in my head. I'm trying to answer questions faster. I'm trying to improve my pronunciation. I'm trying to build confidence every day. Speak each sentence out loud, not silently. Then repeat the same sentences again with more natural rhythm. Then close your eyes and say them from memory. This drill teaches your mouth to own the pattern. Another strong exercise is the question reflex drill. Choose common questions and answer them quickly with simple English. The goal is not a perfect long answer. The goal is quick access. Ask yourself, why are you learning English? And answer, I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently. Ask, what is difficult for you? And answer, speaking is difficult because I translate too much. Ask, how do you practice? And answer, I practice by speaking out loud and repeating useful patterns. These answers are simple, but they train the reflex of response. After the short answer becomes easy, expand it. I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently, understand people better, and create more opportunities for my future. Then expand again. I'm learning English because I want to speak confidently in real conversations. I can understand many things, but sometimes my mouth becomes slow, so I'm training myself to speak out loud every day. This process teaches your brain that a response can begin quickly and grow naturally. Fast beginning plus natural expansion equals speaking confidence. A speaking reflex also requires recovery reflex. Recovery reflex is the ability to continue when something goes wrong. Many learners think fluency means never making mistakes, but real fluency includes the ability to repair mistakes without panic. If you forget a word, you need a reflex phrase. If your sentence breaks, you need a reflex phrase. If you need time, you need a reflex phrase. Recovery reflex protects the conversation from dying. Train phrases like, let me say that again. What I mean is, I forgot the exact word. Give me a moment. I can explain it simply. I'm not sure how to say it perfectly, but let me try again. These phrases are powerful because they teach your brain that a mistake is not the end. A mistake is only a moment that can be repaired. When your brain knows it can repair, it becomes less afraid to begin. Practice recovery phrases before you need them. Do not wait until a real conversation goes wrong. Say them out loud every day. Build small practice situations. Start a sentence incorrectly and then repair it. Yesterday I go, let me say that again. Yesterday I went to the market. Forget a word on purpose and explain around it. I forgot the exact word, but I mean the thing we use when it rains. This kind of practice may feel strange, but it trains confidence. You are teaching your mind that imperfect speech can survive. The learner who cannot recover will fear every mistake. The learner who cannot recover will speak with more freedom. This is why recovery reflex is one of the deepest parts of fluent speaking. It gives you permission to be human. It allows you to speak even when the sentence is not fully ready. It protects your voice from shame. It keeps communication alive. Another important part of speaking reflex is emotional reflex. English does not become natural only through neutral sentences. It becomes natural when you can express what you feel quickly. Many learners can say basic facts, but they struggle to express emotions like nervousness, frustration, excitement, confusion, pride, hope, and disappointment. If you cannot express feelings, your English will feel dry and limited. So train emotional sentences until they become ready. Say, I feel nervous when I speak English with new people. I feel frustrated when I know the answer but cannot say it. I feel proud when I practice every day. I feel motivated because I can see small progress. I feel more confident when I speak slowly. These sentences connect English with your real emotional life. The stronger the emotional connection, the deeper the memory. The deeper the memory, the easier the response becomes. Emotional reflex matters because fear often appears during speaking. If you have trained sentences for fear, you can handle fear in English. You can say, I feel nervous, but I can speak slowly. You can say, I need a moment, but I will try. You can say, my English is not perfect, but I can communicate. These sentences calm the nervous system because they give language to the emotion. When you can name the fear becomes less powerful. Another important reflex is opinion reflex. Conversations often ask for opinions, and many learners freeze when someone asks, what do you think? Because opinion requires personal expression. To build opinion reflex, train simple opinion structures. I think, in my opinion, the way I see it. For me, I agree because, I don't fully agree because. These phrases should become automatic because they help you enter opinion speech without panic. Practice with easy topics first. I think daily practice is important because English becomes natural through repetition. In my opinion, speaking is harder than listening because speaking needs fast response. For me, confidence is important because fear can block the words. I don't fully agree that grammar is enough because speaking also needs mouth training. These answers train both thought and speech. They make your opinions available in English. Do not wait for deep topics. Build reflex with simple topics. If you can give opinions about English learning, daily habits, confidence, mistakes, practice, and goals, your speaking system will become stronger. Later, you can apply the same structures to more difficult topics. Opinion reflex is transferable. Once the structure is ready, the topic can change. Another powerful reflex is explanation reflex. Explanation is the ability to make an idea clear. Many learners can answer yes or no, but they cannot explain why. Explanation reflex grows when you practice phrases like, "the reason is," "this means." For example, in simple words, "the main point is," "that is why." These phrases guide your brain through explanation. For example, say, "The reason speaking is difficult is that it needs fast response." Then add, "This means the brain must find words quickly and send them to the mouth." Then add, "For example, when someone asks a question, the learner does not have much time to translate." Then add, "That is why speaking practice is necessary." This is explanation reflex. You are not only saying one sentence, you are teaching your brain how to explain. Explanation reflex is especially important for learners who want longer answers. If you can explain, you can continue. If you can continue, you can sound more fluent. If you can sound more fluent, your confidence grows. Explanation does not require extremely advanced English. It requires structure. Structure can be practiced. Another important part of speaking reflex is daily routine language. Your daily life is the easiest place to build automatic English because it repeats. You wake up every day, you eat every day, you work or study every day, you use your phone every day. You feel tired, busy, hungry, focused, distracted, or motivated many times. If you attach English to these repeated actions, your brain receives many opportunities to build reflex. When you wake up, say, "I need to start my day." When you begin work, say, "I need to focus." When you feel tired, say, "I need some rest." When you are busy, say, "I have a lot to do today." When you practice English, say, "I am training my speaking reflex." These daily sentences may seem simple, but because daily life repeats, the sentences repeat naturally. Repetition in real life is stronger than repetition only in a notebook. This is how English becomes part of your environment. If English only appears during study time, it remains separate from life. If English appears during daily actions, it becomes connected to your reality. Connected English becomes easier to speak because it is familiar. Familiar English becomes reflexive because the brain has used it many times. Another strong method is the trigger sentence method. A trigger is something that happens often, and each trigger reminds you to speak one English sentence. For example, every time you drink water, say, "I need water." Every time you open your phone, say, "Let me check my messages." Every time you start practicing, say, "I am training my English voice." Every time you make a mistake, say, "Mistakes are part of my learning." These triggers turn daily life into speaking practice. The trigger sentence method is powerful because it does not require extra study time. It uses moments that already happen. Your brain begins connecting the action with English. After enough repetition, the sentence appears automatically when the action happens. This is direct English connection. This is speaking reflex being built quietly throughout the day. Another important reflex is speed control. Some learners think reflex means speaking fast, but real reflex begins with control. A sentence spoken clearly and calmly is better than a sentence rushed and broken. The goal is not to force speed. The goal is to make access easier. Speed comes later as a result of familiarity. First, train the sentence slowly, then train it smoothly, then allow it to become faster naturally. For example, take the sentence, "I'm trying to speak English more naturally." Say it slowly and clearly, then say it with normal rhythm. Then say it inside a longer sentence, "I'm trying to speak English more naturally because I want to feel confident in conversations." Repeat until your mouth stops fighting it. Do not rush. Build control first. Controlled repetition creates clean reflex. If you repeat too fast too early, you may train confusion. If you repeat with calm focus, you train clarity. Reflex should be clear, not careless, natural, not panicked, alive, not robotic. This is why the quality of repetition matters. Do not only repeat many times, repeat with attention, repeat with meaning, repeat with emotion, repeat with your real voice. Another powerful tool is recording and repeating. Choose one answer, record it, listen, improve, and record again. This creates a feedback loop. The first recording shows your current speaking. The second recording improves one thing. The third recording becomes smoother. This process builds reflex faster because you are not guessing. You hear where the bridge is weak. You hear where the mouth stops. You hear which phrases need practice. For example, answer the question, "Why is speaking English difficult?" Record your answer. Maybe you notice that you pause too long after the first sentence. Good. Add a connector like, "The reason is," or "for example." Record again. Maybe you notice pronunciation feels weak on one phrase. Good. Repeat that phrase 5 times. Record again. This is how recording becomes training, not punishment. Do not listen to your recording like an enemy. Listen like a coach. An enemy says, "You sound bad." A coach says, "This part needs practice." An enemy creates shame. A coach creates direction. Shame makes you avoid speaking. Direction makes you improve speaking. Become your own coach. Another important reflex is the ability to speak even when your answer is not perfect. Many learners wait for complete certainty before speaking, but in real life, you often need to respond with partial certainty. That is why phrases like, "I'm not sure but," and "I could be wrong but," are powerful. They allow you to speak without needing absolute confidence. They reduce pressure and keep the conversation moving. Practice sentences like, "I'm not sure, but I think daily practice is the best way." "I could be wrong, but I feel speaking out loud is very important." "I'm not completely sure, but the main idea is clear." These phrases are not weak, they are natural. Native speakers use uncertainty phrases too. They make speech flexible. They allow ideas to move without pretending to know everything. Another reflex to train is asking for clarification. Many learners pretend they understand because they are afraid to ask, but asking for clarification is part of communication. If you do not understand, say, "Can you repeat that? Can you explain it another way? What does that mean?" "Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you speak a little slower?" These phrases should be automatic because they protect you from panic. A learner who cannot ask for clarification feels helpless when listening fails. A learner who can ask becomes active. Asking is not failure. Asking is communication. It keeps the conversation alive. It shows you are engaged. It gives you another chance to understand. Practice these phrases until they become natural. They are essential speaking reflexes. Another strong reflex is the continue reflex. This is the ability to add another sentence after your first answer. Many learners answer too short because they do not know how to continue. Train continuation phrases like, "Also, another thing is," for example, "The reason is," "That is why," "At the same time." These phrases help your answer grow. If you say, "I want to improve my English," continue with, "The reason is that I want to speak confidently." Then continue with, "For example, I want to answer questions without freezing." Then continue with, "That is why I practice speaking every day." This is continuation reflex. It helps one sentence become a natural answer. Practice continuation daily. Say one sentence, then force yourself to add one more. The second sentence may be simple, that is fine. The goal is to teach your brain that after one sentence there can be another. This breaks the habit of stopping too early. Another important reflex is simple explanation under pressure. When pressure rises, complicated English may disappear. That is normal. You need simple explanation patterns ready. The main idea is, in simple words, it means, the problem is, the solution is. These phrases help you speak clearly even when nervous. For example, if you cannot explain a difficult thought, say, "In simple words, I need more speaking practice." If you forget the perfect sentence, say, "The main idea is that translation makes me slow." If your mind feels overloaded, say, "The problem is fear and the solution is practice." These simple explanation patterns keep your meaning alive. A speaking reflex also needs real-life pressure, but pressure must be gradual. If you only practice alone forever, you may become comfortable alone but still nervous with people. If you jump into difficult conversations too early, you may feel overwhelmed. The answer is progressive pressure. Start alone, then record, then speak to a trusted person, then join a small speaking practice, then try real conversations. Each step gives your brain proof. Proof is the food of confidence. Your brain needs proof that speaking English will not destroy you. It needs proof that mistakes can be survived. It needs proof that people can understand you. It needs proof that your mouth can produce English. It needs proof that your voice can continue. Every small speaking challenge gives this proof. Do not wait for one big moment. Build proof slowly and consistently. Another part of speaking reflex is identity. If you see yourself as someone who cannot speak, your brain will resist speaking. If you see yourself as someone training a speaking reflex, practice becomes meaningful. You are not failing because you speak slowly. You are training. You are not weak because you repeat simple sentences. You are building reflex. You are not behind because you make mistakes. You are collecting feedback. Identity changes the emotional meaning of practice. The same 1-minute recording can feel embarrassing if your identity is "I am bad at English," but it feels powerful if your identity is "I am training my speaking reflex." The action is the same, but the meaning is different. Choose the meaning that helps you grow. Say to yourself, "I am building my speaking reflex." Say, "Every spoken sentence makes my bridge stronger." Say, "I can speak slowly and improve." Say, "I do not need perfect English to train." These statements are not magic, but they direct your mind. When connected with action, they become powerful. Another reflex you must build is correction without collapse. Many learners collapse emotionally when corrected. They feel shame, they stop speaking, they think correction means failure, but correction is part of training. If someone corrects you kindly, receive it as information. Repeat the corrected sentence, use it again. Do not let correction become a wound. Let it become direction. For example, if you say "yesterday I go" and someone corrects "yesterday I went," repeat "yesterday I went." Then use it again, "yesterday I went to the market." Now correction has become practice. This is how strong learners grow. They do not treat correction as attack. They turn correction into reflex training. If correction is harsh, take the useful part and leave the poison. Not everyone knows how to correct kindly. Your job is to protect your confidence while still learning. Do not let rude correction make you silent. A mistake corrected once can become a stronger pattern tomorrow. Another important reflex is self-repair. Self-repair means you notice your mistake and correct it calmly. This is a very advanced confidence skill because it shows you are not afraid of mistakes. You can say, "He go," I mean he goes. "I am agree," I mean I agree. "Yesterday I see," I mean yesterday I saw. Self-repair keeps your mouth moving and trains accuracy at the same time. Practice self-repair during recordings. Speak freely, and when you notice something, repair it out loud. Do not stop the whole practice. Just correct and continue. This teaches your brain that correction can happen inside conversation without destroying flow. A speaking reflex also grows when you train topic families. A topic family is a group of related phrases around one common topic. For example, around the topic English learning, train sentences about goals, problems, practice, feelings, solutions, and progress. This creates a strong speaking zone. When someone asks about English learning, your brain has many ready phrases. Topic English goals. I want to speak confidently. I want to understand people easily. I want to express myself clearly. Topic English problems. I translate too much. I forget words when I speak. I feel nervous with new people. Topic English practice. I repeat useful patterns. I record my voice. I answer questions out loud. Topic English progress. I am improving slowly. I feel more confident than before. My response is becoming faster. This topic family gives your brain a complete speaking toolbox around one area. Build topic families for work, daily life, introductions, opinions, goals, problems, and emotions. This is much more useful than random vocabulary because it prepares you for real conversations. Another strong practice is the daily response set. Every day, answer the same 5 questions out loud. Do this for 1 week. The questions can be, how do I feel today? What did I do today? What do I want to improve? What is difficult for me? What is one thing I learned? At first, answers may be slow. After a few days, they become easier. After a week, your mouth becomes familiar with daily expression. This practice builds reflex because the questions repeat. Repeated questions create repeated answers. Repeated answers create familiar patterns. Familiar patterns become available in real conversation. Do not underestimate repeated daily questions. They are simple but powerful. Another reflex is the ability to summarize. Summarizing means taking a bigger idea and explaining it in a short, clear way. This helps you speak about lessons, videos, conversations, and experiences. Practice phrases like, "The main idea is," "This lesson is about." In simple words, "What I learned is." For example, after listening to an English lesson, say, "The main idea is that speaking improves when we practice out loud every day." This turns listening into speaking. Many learners consume content but never summarize it. They understand the lesson, then move on. But summarizing forces output. It makes English active. It trains your brain to organize meaning. It gives your mouth practice with real ideas. One summary per day can greatly improve your speaking ability over time. Another part of reflex is choosing clarity over complexity. When fear appears, use clear English. Do not force advanced words just to impress. Reflex is built from sentences that work under pressure. If a sentence is too complicated for your current speaking level, simplify it. A clear, simple sentence spoken naturally is stronger than an advanced sentence that collapses. For example, instead of trying to say a very complex sentence about cognitive processing, say, "My brain needs more practice to respond faster." This is clear. Instead of a complicated explanation about linguistic production, say, "Speaking is difficult because I have to create sentences quickly." This is natural. Clarity builds confidence, and confidence allows growth. Over time, your simple sentences will become richer. Do not rush. Automatic basics are the base. Once the base is strong, advanced English becomes easier to add. Without automatic basics, advanced English becomes pressure. Another powerful idea is that reflex depends on emotional repetition, not only mechanical repetition. When you repeat a sentence with feeling, the brain remembers it more deeply. Say, "I want to express myself clearly," like it matters. Say, "I will speak what I think," like a promise. Say, "I can speak slowly and still communicate," like encouragement. This creates emotional connection, and emotional connection strengthens memory. Do not practice like a robot. Practice like a person building a new voice. Your voice needs belief. Your brain needs meaning. Your mouth needs movement. Your confidence needs proof. When all of these work together, speaking reflex grows faster. A powerful weekly routine can build your speaking reflex. On day 1, choose 5 patterns and create personal sentences. On day 2, answer common questions with short answers. On day 3, expand answers with reasons and examples. On day 4, practice recovery phrases and self-repair. On day 5, record a 1-minute answer and improve it. On day 6, speak with small pressure, even if only a voice note. On day 7, review your progress and repeat your strongest sentences. This kind of routine creates a complete speaking system. But routines only work if you actually do them. The best method in the world cannot help a learner who never practices. The simplest method can transform a learner who uses it daily. Fluency belongs to the learner who returns, not the learner who only feels motivated once. Not the learner who saves videos and never practices. Not the learner who collects notebooks and avoids speaking. The learner who returns to spoken English every day builds reflex. Consistency is more important than intensity. A small practice repeated daily builds stronger reflex than a huge practice done rarely. 10 minutes of active speaking every day can create more change than 2 hours of passive watching once a week. The speaking brain needs frequent contact. The mouth needs regular movement. Confidence needs repeated proof. Give your brain daily proof. A speaking reflex is not built overnight. At first you will still translate. At first you will still pause. At first you will still forget words. But if you practice correctly, you will notice small changes. A phrase will come faster. A common answer will feel easier. A recovery sentence will appear when you need it. A question will feel less frightening. You will speak a little longer than before. These small changes are not small in meaning. They are signs that the bridge is becoming stronger. Do not ignore small progress. Small progress is the beginning of big change. The brain changes quietly before the world notices. Your mouth becomes familiar before you sound fluent. Your confidence grows before you feel fearless. Your speaking reflex develops through many invisible repetitions. Trust the training. The day will come when a question appears and your answer does not feel as far away. Your mouth begins before fear fully rises. Your brain chooses a pattern. Your voice speaks a simple sentence. Then another sentence comes. Maybe the grammar is not perfect, but the communication is alive. That moment is powerful because it proves that English is no longer only trapped in your mind. It is beginning to live in your mouth. That is the goal of speaking reflex, to make English available, to make response faster, to make fear weaker, to make speech possible, to make your thoughts audible. When your speaking reflex grows, you no longer depend only on motivation. You have trained patterns, you have recovery tools, you have question practice, you have emotional sentences, you have daily routine language, you have proof. Fear may still appear, but it no longer controls everything. Translation may still appear, but it no longer owns every sentence. Mistakes may still happen, but they no longer end the conversation. This is what real progress looks like. Not perfect English, available English. Not fearless speaking, brave speaking. Not endless studying, active response. Not silent knowledge, spoken reflex. So train the reflex every day, repeat the patterns that matter, answer the questions that scare you, speak the thoughts you usually keep silent, use recovery phrases when the sentence breaks, ask for clarification when you do not understand, record your voice and improve one thing. Turn daily life into English triggers, build topic families, practice with calm repetition, add pressure step by step. Because every time you do this, the bridge becomes stronger. Every repeated sentence becomes a road. Every spoken answer becomes proof. Every repaired mistake becomes courage. Every direct response becomes freedom. And one day, English will not feel like something you must drag from your mind with force. It will begin to rise more naturally because you trained it to rise. It will begin to move more smoothly because you trained it to move. It will begin to answer more quickly because you trained it to respond. Your mouth will no longer feel like the enemy of your thoughts. It will become the partner of your mind. That is the speaking reflex. That is the heart of the mind-to-mouth method. And that is how the English inside you finally learns to answer before fear takes over. Chapter 7. Become a speaker who trusts the voice inside. The deepest transformation in English speaking does not happen only when you learn more words, understand more grammar, improve pronunciation, or watch more lessons, because the deepest transformation happens when you stop seeing English as something locked inside your mind and start seeing English as something your voice is allowed to release, even when it is not perfect, even when it is simple, even when it comes slowly, and even when your confidence is still growing. This is the final goal of the mind-to-mouth method, to become a person who trusts the voice inside enough to speak what the mind already knows. Many learners do not truly trust their English voice. They trust their reading more than their speaking. They trust their listening more than their speaking. They trust their thoughts more than their mouth. They may understand the question, they may know the answer, they may even prepare a sentence inside their head, but they still do not trust the voice to carry it. So they hesitate, they wait, they check, they judge, they delay. And the longer they delay, the heavier the sentence becomes. Trust is the missing power. When you trust your voice, you do not need every sentence to be perfect before you begin. When you trust your voice, you can start with simple English and let the answer grow. When you trust your voice, a mistake does not destroy the whole conversation. When you trust your voice, you can say, "Let me say that again," and continue. When you trust your voice, you no longer treat English speaking like a dangerous performance. You treat it like communication, training, growth, and expression. This trust is not fake confidence. It is not pretending that your English is perfect. It is not acting like you never make mistakes. It is not forcing yourself to sound like someone else. Real trust is quieter and stronger than that. Real trust says, "My English is still growing, but I can use it." Real trust says, "I may speak slowly, but I can communicate." Real trust says, "I may make mistakes, but I can continue." Real trust says, "I do not need to wait until every fear disappears before I open my mouth." Real trust says, "My voice deserves practice, not punishment." This is the identity of a speaker in training. A speaker in training does not wait for perfect readiness. A speaker in training creates readiness through action. A speaker in training understands that English confidence is not built in silence. It is built through repeated attempts, repeated repairs, repeated sentences, repeated questions, repeated answers, and repeated moments where fear appears but the voice speaks anyway. Most learners make the mistake of thinking that fluency is only about language. But fluency is also about identity. If you keep saying, "I cannot speak," your brain begins to act like a person who cannot speak. If you keep saying, "My English is terrible," your brain begins to avoid English because English feels like shame. If you keep saying, "I always freeze," your mind begins preparing for freezing before the conversation even begins. The story you repeat about yourself becomes the path your brain follows. That is why you must change the story, not with lies, but with a stronger truth. Instead of saying, "I cannot speak English," say, "I am training my speaking every day." Instead of saying, "My English is bad," say, "My English is still growing." Instead of saying, "I always freeze," say, "I am learning to start with simple sentences." Instead of saying, "I make too many mistakes," say, "Mistakes are helping me discover what to improve." Instead of saying, "I sound strange," say, "My mouth is learning a new rhythm." These sentences are not just motivation, they are mental training. They teach your brain to stop attacking the voice and start supporting the voice. A voice that is attacked becomes smaller. A voice that is trained becomes stronger. If you want to speak naturally, you cannot treat your own English voice like an enemy. You must treat it like a student you are responsible for helping. This does not mean you ignore mistakes. It means you correct mistakes without destroying confidence. It means you improve pronunciation without hating your accent. It means you study grammar without becoming afraid of every sentence. It means you practice daily without demanding perfection from every attempt. This balance is powerful because it allows growth to continue. A learner who only wants perfection often stops speaking. A learner who accepts training keeps speaking and improves. This is why the mind-to-mouth method is not only a speaking method, it is a relationship with your own voice. It teaches you to move English out of your mind with patience, repetition, courage, and trust. It teaches you that the mouth is not the enemy. The mouth is a muscle that needs training. The voice is not embarrassing. The voice is the place where your English becomes alive. The mistake is not the end. The mistake is part of the road. A silent learner may know many things, but a speaker is built by use, and you must choose to become a speaker. This choice must happen daily, not once. Not only when you feel motivated, not only after watching an inspiring lesson. Every day you must choose at least one moment where English leaves your mind and enters your mouth. It can be one sentence, it can be one question, it can be one answer, it can be one voice recording, it can be one explanation, it can be one thought spoken out loud, but it must move. Movement is the law of speaking growth. The English that moves becomes stronger. The English that stays hidden becomes weaker. The English that is used becomes yours. The English that is only understood remains borrowed. Many learners want English to become natural, but they do not give English enough chances to live through their voice. They keep English in safe places: notebooks, subtitles, saved videos, grammar explanations, vocabulary lists, and silent thoughts. These places are useful, but they are not enough. English must come into the risky place too, the place where your voice shakes, the place where mistakes happen, the place where another person may listen, the place where your brain must respond in real time. That risky place is where speaking power is born. The speaker inside you cannot grow if you never allow it to be heard. At first, being heard may feel uncomfortable. You may not like the sound of your English. You may think your voice is too slow, too weak, too simple, or too imperfect. But discomfort is not a sign that you should stop. Discomfort is often a sign that you are entering a new identity. The old identity was silent. The new identity speaks. Of course, it feels strange at first. The brain needs time to accept the new version of you. Do not quit because your voice feels unfamiliar. Repeat until it becomes familiar. Do not quit because your sentence feels simple. Repeat until simple becomes smooth. Do not quit because your answer feels slow. Repeat until slow becomes natural. Do not quit because your confidence feels weak. Repeat until confidence has proof. This proof is everything. Your brain does not believe confidence because you wish for it. Your brain believes confidence because you collect evidence. Every spoken sentence is evidence. Every completed recording is evidence. Every repaired mistake is evidence. Every question answered is evidence. Every moment where you continue despite nervousness is evidence. Over time, these pieces of evidence become a new belief. I can speak. This belief is not created by one perfect day. It is created by many imperfect attempts. One of the most important signs that you are becoming a real speaker is that you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop saying, "I will speak when I find the right partner." You stop saying, "I will speak when I have more time." You stop saying, "I will speak when my grammar is better." You stop saying, "I will speak when I feel confident." You begin to understand that perfect conditions may never come, but practice can begin now. You can speak alone. You can record your voice. You can answer questions from a video. You can describe your day. You can repeat useful patterns. You can explain one idea out loud. You can send a voice note to a trusted person. You can practice in front of a mirror. You can train your mouth even before the perfect environment arrives. A serious learner does not wait for English to become easy. A serious learner makes English easier through action. This is the difference between a learner who dreams and a learner who changes. Dreams are beautiful, but they do not train the mouth. Action trains the mouth. Action teaches the brain. Action builds reflex. Action turns knowledge into voice. Another deep part of becoming a speaker is learning to stop measuring your English only by mistakes. Many learners speak for 1 minute and then remember only the wrong part. They forget the sentence they said correctly. They forget that they continued. They forget that they expressed meaning. They forget that they were braver than before. They only remember the grammar mistake, the pause, the word they forgot, or the sound they disliked. This is unfair to your progress. You must learn to measure progress honestly. Ask, did I speak more than before? Ask, did I start faster than before? Ask, did I continue after a mistake? Ask, did I use a pattern I practiced? Ask, did I express the main meaning? Ask, did I feel a little less afraid? These questions show real progress. Perfect grammar is not the only progress. Faster starting is progress. Better recovery is progress. More confidence is progress. Clearer meaning is progress. Longer speaking is progress. Less translation is progress. More daily practice is progress. If you only look for perfection, you will miss the signs of growth already happening. A speaker who sees progress becomes motivated to continue. A learner who sees only mistakes becomes tired and ashamed. Choose a fair way to see yourself. This does not mean becoming blind to weaknesses. It means seeing weakness and progress together. A strong learner can say, "My pronunciation needs work, but I spoke longer today." A strong learner can say, "I made grammar mistakes, but I continued after them." A strong learner can say, "I paused too much, but I used English instead of staying silent." This balanced view keeps growth alive. Another part of trusting your voice is learning to speak with the English you have, not the English you wish you had. Many learners stay silent because they compare their current English to their dream English. They want to sound fluent, advanced, natural, and impressive immediately. But your dream English is built from your current English. You cannot skip the stage you are in. You must use the English you have today so it can become stronger tomorrow. If your English is simple, use simple English. If your response is slow, speak slowly. If your vocabulary is limited, explain with the words you know. If your grammar is imperfect, communicate and improve. If your confidence is weak, practice in small steps. The English you have today is enough to begin. It may not be enough for everything you want, but it is enough to start training. And starting is what creates growth. A small sentence spoken today is more powerful than a perfect sentence imagined for someday, because the spoken sentence changes the brain. The imagined sentence may only feed the dream. This is why you must respect small speaking actions. One sentence may look small, but it teaches the mouth. One question may look small, but it trains response. One recording may look small, but it gives feedback. One repeated pattern may look small, but it builds reflex. One repaired mistake may look small, but it builds courage. Small actions repeated daily become large transformation. The mind-to-mouth bridge is not built with one giant stone. It is built with many small stones placed again and again. You must also become comfortable with your own learning speed. Some people improve faster in speaking because they practice more, have better environments, have more confidence, or have more chances to use English. Do not let this destroy you. Your journey is your journey. Comparison can be useful if it inspires you, but it becomes poison if it makes you hate your progress. You do not need to become someone else. You need to become better than your silent version. Compare your English today with your English last month. Compare your courage today with your courage before. Compare your response speed today with your old hesitation. Compare your daily practice today with your old waiting. That comparison is useful because it shows movement. The goal is not to be the best speaker in the world tomorrow. The goal is to become a stronger speaker than you were yesterday. Your progress may be slow, but slow progress is not failure. Slow progress is still movement, and movement is the foundation of fluency. Another powerful truth is that your voice becomes stronger when it serves a purpose bigger than language. If you are learning English only to be perfect, the journey will feel heavy. But if you are learning English to express yourself, connect with people, create opportunities, teach, work, travel, grow, or build a better future, then practice has meaning. Purpose gives energy when motivation becomes weak. Ask yourself, why must my thoughts reach my mouth in English? Maybe because you want to speak confidently in interviews. Maybe because you want to communicate with people from different countries. Maybe because you want to study or work better. Maybe because you want to create content. Maybe because you want to stop feeling small in conversations. Maybe because you know your ideas deserve a voice. Your reason matters. Keep it close. When practice feels boring, remember your reason. When fear appears, remember your reason. When mistakes embarrass you, remember your reason. When progress feels slow, remember your reason. Purpose turns practice from a task into a mission. A learner with purpose returns after failure. A learner without purpose quits when feelings change. Purpose is the fire behind consistency. Consistency is the road to fluency. You must also understand that confidence is not loud. Some people think confidence means speaking fast, speaking loudly, using advanced words, and never showing uncertainty. But real confidence can be calm. Real confidence can say, "I need a moment." Real confidence can say, "I'm not sure, but I'll try." Real confidence can say, "Let me explain it simply." Real confidence can speak slowly and still remain steady. Real confidence is not the absence of weakness, it is the ability to continue while growing. This kind of confidence is perfect for English learners because it gives room for progress. You do not need to pretend, you do not need to act like a native speaker, you do not need to hide every mistake, you only need to stay present, speak clearly, and continue. Calm confidence is powerful because it does not break easily. A learner with fake confidence may panic when corrected. A learner with real confidence says, "Thank you, I'll practice that." A learner with fake confidence hides mistakes. A learner with real confidence uses mistakes as training. A learner with fake confidence wants to look perfect. A learner with real confidence wants to improve. Build real confidence. Another part of becoming a speaker is learning to make English part of your daily identity. Do not treat English like a visitor that comes once a week. Treat English like a small daily companion. Speak one thought in the morning. Use one English sentence during your routine. Answer one question in the afternoon. Record 1 minute at night. Think about your day in simple English. Repeat one powerful pattern. These actions create identity because they tell your brain, "I am the kind of person who uses English every day." Identity is built by repeated proof. If you practice once, it is an event. If you practice daily, it becomes a pattern. If the pattern continues, it becomes part of who you are. This is how English stops feeling like something outside you. It becomes part of your normal behavior. Say to yourself, "I do not only study English, I use English." This sentence is powerful because it changes the role you play. A person who studies English may stay passive. A person who uses English becomes active. A person who studies English may wait. A person who uses English speaks. A person who studies English collects information. A person who uses English builds communication. Both study and use are important, but use is what makes the mouth alive. You must also learn to protect your speaking confidence from people who do not understand the journey. Some people may laugh at your mistakes. Some people may judge your accent. Some people may interrupt harshly. Some people may make you feel embarrassed. This can hurt, but you must not let it define your identity. People who mock your learning are not responsible for your future. You are. If someone corrects you kindly, learn. If someone laughs, continue. If someone judges, remember your purpose. If someone makes you feel small, do not make their reaction your truth. Your English journey is bigger than one person's opinion. Every speaker who learns a new language must pass through imperfect stages. There is no shame in that. Shame belongs to the person who mocks growth, not to the person who is brave enough to grow. Do not let small-minded reactions steal your long-term voice. Choose safe practice spaces when you can. Practice with patient people, join supportive groups, record alone, use tools, learn with kindness, but also build inner strength because the world will not always be gentle. Your confidence must become strong enough to continue even when a moment feels uncomfortable. This does not mean ignoring pain. It means not surrendering to pain. If one conversation goes badly, return. If one person judges you, return. If one recording sounds weak, return. If one mistake embarrasses you, return. The learner who returns becomes strong. The learner who quits after one painful moment remains trapped. Return is the secret of long-term fluency. Another important step is to stop making English speaking a rare event. Rare events feel scary because the brain has no familiarity. If you speak English only once in a while, every speaking moment feels big. But if you speak English every day, even in small ways, speaking becomes more normal. Normal things create less fear. This is why daily speaking is so important. Do not wait for big conversations only. Make small speaking moments, describe what you are doing, explain your plan, answer a question, repeat a phrase, say your goal out loud, tell a short story, summarize a lesson. These small moments reduce the emotional weight of speaking. English becomes something you do, not something you fear. When English speaking becomes normal, your mouth becomes more relaxed. When your mouth becomes more relaxed, your response becomes smoother. When your response becomes smoother, confidence grows. When confidence grows, you speak more. This creates a positive cycle. The old cycle was fear, silence, regret, and more fear. The new cycle is practice, proof, confidence, and more practice. You build this new cycle through action, not by waiting, not by wishing, not by only listening, through spoken English. Another deep truth is that your thoughts deserve expression even if your English is not perfect. Many learners unconsciously believe that because their English is imperfect, their thoughts should stay hidden. This is wrong. Your thoughts have value now. Your ideas have value now. Your story has value now. English is only the tool you are learning to carry them with. The tool may still be developing, but the meaning inside you is real. Do not let imperfect English make you feel like a smaller person. Your English level is not your intelligence. Your accent is not your worth. Your grammar mistake is not your identity. Your slow response is not your final future. You are a complete person learning to express yourself through a new language. That process deserves respect. When you understand this, speaking becomes less humiliating. You stop thinking, my English makes me look small, and start thinking, my English is growing to carry who I am. This mindset is powerful. It helps you practice with dignity. It helps you speak without begging for perfection. It helps you continue after mistakes. Another part of becoming a speaker is learning to make your practice honest. Do not only practice sentences that make you look good, practice the sentences you truly need. If you freeze, practice saying, sometimes I freeze when I speak, but I am improving. If you translate too much, practice saying, I translate too much, so my answer becomes slow. If you feel nervous, practice saying, I feel nervous, but I can continue. If you do not understand, practice saying, can you explain that again? Honest sentences become useful faster because they match real life. Your brain remembers what it needs. If you practice only perfect textbook sentences but never practice the language of struggle, you may not know how to handle real struggle in English. But if you train honest sentences, you can speak even in weak moments. This is important because fluency is not only speaking when everything is easy, fluency is also handling difficulty. It is saying you do not understand, it is asking for time, it is explaining your mistake, it is continuing after confusion, it is using simple English when advanced English is not available. It is staying in the conversation instead of disappearing. A speaker who can handle difficulty is stronger than a learner who only speaks in perfect practice conditions. Real life is imperfect, so your English must learn to survive imperfection. Another powerful identity shift is moving from I need English to I use English. The first sentence expresses desire, the second expresses action. I need English can remain a wish forever. I use English forces behavior. Every day, prove it with one action. Use English to think, use English to speak, use English to summarize, use English to ask, use English to explain, use English to reflect. This is how the language becomes part of your life. You may start with very small use, that is fine. Small use is still use. A small flame can grow if protected. The problem is not small beginnings, the problem is abandoning them. Protect your small English habits until they become strong. The mind-to-mouth method becomes complete when you no longer see speaking as something you will do someday. You see it as something you train today. Today's sentence matters, today's voice note matters, today's repetition matters, today's correction matters, today's courage matters. Today's small practice is not separate from future fluency. It is the material future fluency is made from. One day, your future English will be built from the sentences you spoke when you were not ready. It will be built from the recordings you made when your voice sounded weak. It will be built from the patterns you repeated when they felt boring. It will be built from the mistakes you repaired instead of hiding. It will be built from the fear you faced with simple English. It will be built from the days you returned. This is how transformation works. It is quiet before it becomes visible. At first, only you know you practiced. Only you know you recorded. Only you know you repeated the pattern. Only you know you spoke despite nervousness. But inside your brain, pathways are forming. Inside your mouth, rhythm is developing. Inside your confidence, proof is collecting. Later, other people may notice improvement, but the real building happens in private first. Do not disrespect private practice. Private practice creates public confidence. The voice you train alone becomes the voice that speaks with others. The sentence you repeat alone becomes the sentence that appears in conversation. The courage you build alone becomes the courage that carries you in real moments. Another final skill is learning to return to meaning when you feel lost. In conversation, if your grammar becomes confused or your words disappear, return to meaning. Ask yourself, what do I want to say in simple English? Maybe the answer is, I need help. Say that. Maybe the answer is, I do not agree. Say that. Maybe the answer is, I am confused. Say that. Maybe the answer is, I need more time. Say that. Meaning is your anchor. When you return to meaning, you stop drowning in details. You do not need the perfect sentence immediately. You need the core message. Once the core message is spoken, you can add more. This is one of the most important habits for real speaking. When pressure rises, simplify. When fear rises, use a familiar pattern. When translation becomes heavy, return to direct meaning. Direct meaning saves the voice. Another powerful final practice is the daily speaker promise. Every day, say one promise out loud and prove it with action. Say, today I will speak what I think. Then speak one thought. Say, today I will train my voice. Then record 1 minute. Say, today I will not hide behind silence. Then answer one question. The promise alone is not enough. The proof matters. Promise plus action builds identity. For example, say, today I will speak what I think, even if my English is simple. Then answer, I think speaking practice is important because it helps my mouth become familiar with English. That is proof. Small proof, but real proof. Tomorrow, do it again. This is how the speaker identity grows. You must also create a future image of yourself as a confident English speaker, but this image must inspire action, not replace it. Imagine yourself speaking calmly. Imagine answering questions without freezing. Imagine explaining your thoughts clearly. Imagine using English for work, travel, study, content, communication, or personal growth. Then ask, what one small action today brings me closer to that person? This keeps the dream connected to practice. A dream without daily action becomes fantasy. A dream with daily action becomes direction. Direction repeated becomes transformation. This chapter is not asking you to become perfect today. It is asking you to stop rejecting the voice that is trying to grow. It is asking you to stop hiding English inside your mind. It is asking you to trust the process enough to speak. It is asking you to use the language you have so it can become the language you want. It is asking you to become a speaker in training, not a silent collector of English knowledge. Because the world cannot hear the English you only understand. The world cannot hear the sentences you only prepare. The world cannot hear the thoughts you never release. The world cannot hear the confidence you keep waiting for. The world can only hear the English you speak. And more importantly, your own brain can only learn speaking from the English you speak. So speak what you think. Speak it simply. Speak it slowly. Speak it bravely. Speak it repeatedly. Speak it before it feels perfect. Speak it until your mouth trusts it. Speak it until your brain stops fearing it. Speak it until your confidence has evidence. Speak it until English no longer feels trapped inside you. This is the final transformation of the mind-to-mouth method. The mind becomes full of meaning. The mouth becomes trained through movement. The bridge becomes stronger through repetition, and the speaker inside you begins to trust the voice. You no longer wait for English to become perfect before using it. You use English to make it stronger. You no longer see mistakes as proof that you should stop. You see mistakes as proof that training is happening. You no longer measure fluency only by how much you know. You measure it by how much you can express. That is a powerful change. When this change happens, English stops being a locked room inside your mind. It becomes a road from your thoughts to your voice. It becomes a tool for connection. It becomes a habit of expression. It becomes something you can practice, shape, improve, and own. And one day, the sentence that once felt impossible will come more easily. The question that once made you freeze will feel familiar. The voice that once sounded strange will feel like yours. The English that once stayed hidden will finally begin to move. That day begins with the next sentence you choose to speak. Not tomorrow, not when you feel perfect, not when fear disappears. Now, because your voice is not waiting for perfection. Your voice is waiting for practice. And every time you practice, you become less of a silent learner and more of the English speaker you were meant to become. And now, as this audiobook comes to an end, remember one powerful truth. Your English is not useless because it comes slowly. Your English is not weak because it is still simple. Your English is not broken because it makes mistakes. Your English is only waiting for one thing: movement. For too long, many learners have kept English locked inside the mind. They understand more than they speak, think more than they express, prepare more than they release, and dream more than they practice. But English was never meant to stay trapped in silence. English becomes alive when it moves from thought to voice, from memory to sentence, from fear to courage, and from the mind to the mouth. That is the power of the mind-to-mouth method. It teaches you that fluency is not only about knowing more. Fluency is about releasing what you already know. It teaches you that the mouth must be trained, not blamed. It teaches you that the first sentence does not need to be perfect, it needs to be spoken. It teaches you that one thought can become a full answer when you add reason, example, feeling, and courage. It teaches you that mistakes are not the end of speaking, they are part of the training that makes speaking stronger. So from today, stop asking only how much English do I know, and start asking how much English did I speak today? Because the English you only know may help your mind, but the English you speak changes your confidence. The English you repeat becomes familiar. The English you use becomes yours. The English you release becomes your voice. Do not wait for perfect grammar before you speak. Speak and let grammar improve through use. Do not wait for perfect pronunciation before you practice. Practice and let your mouth learn the rhythm. Do not wait for fear to disappear before you begin. Begin and let courage grow through action. Speak one thought today. Answer one question today. Record your voice for 1 minute today. Repeat one useful pattern today. Turn one silent idea into one spoken sentence today. That is how the bridge becomes stronger. One day, the thought that feels trapped today will move with ease. The sentence that feels heavy today will become lighter. The question that makes you freeze today will become familiar. The voice that feels strange today will become your natural English voice. But that day will not come from waiting. It will come from practice. It will come from repetition. It will come from courage. It will come from every moment you choose to speak what you think. Before you leave, subscribe to English Mindset Academy for more powerful English learning audiobooks created for serious learners who are ready to stop staying silent and start speaking with confidence. And now, write this promise in the comments. I will speak what I think. Do not just watch and leave. Write it now, because the learner who makes a promise begins training the mind, the mouth, and the identity at the same time. This book is published by English Mindset Academy. Keep practicing, keep speaking, keep building the bridge. Your thoughts already have meaning. Now give them a voice.